Hey there. I'll be your co-host today and monitoring the chats. Thank you.
That's right, the end of 2011. Hi, thanks for having me. No idea what I'm doing here. We'll figure it out as we go. Do you say Keith? I've never known how to really pronounce that. We just write it in text. Keith sounds fine. I was just all, sure, it's official. It's Keith. Ooh, systems. Yeah. Well, it was right before the free-to-play launch, but during it, as far as development is concerned. So I was kind of thrown straight to the wolves. I don't know if you guys know, but one of the first things that I worked on was our very first chance box. Our very first, I think it was called a gift box. It was something that we did with the winter event in 2011. Yeah, that included the Jem'Hadar bug. Yeah, yeah. Technically available to both factions, but not a cross-faction ship. Fun fact: they're different ships under the hood, just clones of one another. hmm Oh boy, I think the warbirds that came out with the Legacy of Romulus release were the first true like cross faction ships. Everything before that, we were doing data cloning and just making two separate versions of the ships available to each faction. Yep, yep. Because certain parts of the data are doubled, you have to double the Admiralty card. Yeah, it's astute to notice such a thing. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Those were actually some of the big things that I think the other than the chance box, what I first started on was the winter event, and then I was helping Jeff Tuffley, an old name from the past, about with the initial rollout of the duty officer system. So those were some of my very first tasks when I came on board. Um, just to back up one step, when I first came on board, there was the chance box, but there was the winter event, and they just kind of said they didn't have a task for me to know like what I was capable of because I wasn't a game designer before coming here. I was a Right, I was just a game journalist, if you wanna be kind about it. I was a podcaster. Um, so they didn't really know what to throw at me at first, so they just kind of said, "Hey, you're gonna help, this guy with the winter event." I think it was Scott Scheikoff at the time, one of our content designers, and just do what he needs and see if you can come up with some fun things to do for the winter event. It's just this special little zone. It's nothing, that has to impact the rest of the game, so have fun. So he and I came up with, and I did all the implementation for the entire snowball combat system within months of starting at Cryptic. So yeah, and we still deal with that baggage to this day. Yep. hmm It uses completely different damage scaling. We decided that we wanted to go crazy with the combat on that map because big numbers are fun. So like you throw a snowball at a snowman and it does like 4 million damage, and wee, it's big. It's fun. Um, yeah, yeah. But then also figuring out the like friction and traction changes on the race and on the frozen lake and all that. That was all my early brainchilds. Yeah. So actually, my work was primarily with the reputations and the ships for Legacy of Romulus. I wasn't very involved with the content rollout. We had a different sort of team structure back in those days, and me being a junior, not having been on the team for many years, I didn't have my fingers in as many different pies as I would these days. So yeah, I was focused mostly on the implementation of the ships, all of the new warbirds and the singularity mechanic, as well as all of the new gear that we made, the mission rewards for all of those Romulan missions, um, figuring out what was unique about the Romulan faction, mechanically speaking, so that we landed on singularity. We landed on a few personal traits that to this day are still, they kind of stand out. The Romulan operative stuff was a big one, and yeah, the reputation system, and implementing all of that for both New Romulus and New Kara, which I can't remember if it came out the same time or shortly thereafter, but also the adaptation of the old Borg content into what became the Omega reputation. Yeah, I actually think Warp Cores came sometime afterward. I don't remember those being a part of Legacy of Romulus, but that was like so many years ago. I could be wrong about that. The key was the mechanic, though. We wanted to give warbirds a unique mechanic that made them stand apart from just being another escort or another cruiser. We wanted them to stand apart from what Federation and Klingon ships had. And we also had been kind of looking at Romulans as slightly premium. The stuff that was available to Romulans, we wanted to make a little more special than the baseline game. Um, oh, on the Twitch stream, sorry, they're saying
Oh,
that they can only hear me and not
oh,
you.
uh-oh. My bad.
That's fine. I've got all the fun information, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's gonna be good now. Sorry about that. Also, I did see a message that if you win the giveaway, will it be excluded? No, DM you later. It's just be on PC. I don't have any console giveaways, unfortunately, but um, yeah. So let's just hop into the first episode of the evening. Of course, if you want to enter that Keith giveaway, it's exclamation point raffle. So last week we left Vienna and joined the Roman Republic and lost, of course, to Mayo. And now we're dealing with the repercussions of that and going to do Neutral No More.
Greetings. I am taking over as your
But first,
liaison with the
fashion.
Romulan Republic since Tamara's
Oh, you want me to do some
no longer
fashion?
with
Oh,
us.
okay.
You have proven yourself
Yeah.
and earned the respect of your fellow
It's what the
Romulans.
masses want. Fashion is
Contact
the
from our
true
new
end game.
allies would like to
True.
speak with
Which
you.
actually was another big thing
Return
that
to
we
the
wanted to
flotilla.
reinforce with Legacy of Romulus. That the Romulans have some pretty awesome drip.
Yeah,
That
you
I
have
think
the
even a lot of it even holds up to this day.
yeah, you have the Allegiance outfits and you have some of the classic ones like the Nemesis and TNG and the TOS, of course. The whole the helmets that they put on the extras that
Yeah.
they could hide that they don't have enough use for everybody. Classic. Um,
I'm I'm really fond of the Romulan Republic uniform
I don't know what I'm
that
doing. Oh,
has
there it is.
all the rainbow colored,
Yeah.
scales on the jacket.
Is that like the Tal Shiai maybe?
No, it's the Republic captain
Oh.
uniform.
Oh, because of the reflecting kind of. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
Yeah.
actually think some of those patches are Riemann inspired because we wanted to integrate the Riemanns into the Republic.
All right, so we'll
Mm.
do some fashion. Do we have any any suggestions?
It's that cool sort of oil slick look that I think you were talking about, right? The
Mm,
iridescence.
Well,
Yeah.
let me see. SFC, if you could bring up the Republic jacket.
Republic jacket. Aye, aye. Let's hope that's one of the
Uh,
generic ones.
let me go into my ROM and look up what it's actually called.
If it's vet, I don't have it on this account.
Yeah. So if you look at the jacket there, the squares
Oh yeah, on the
are different
side.
colors.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's
those are
actually a
also
callback.
iridescent.
That is a callback to the Tal Shiar. We wanted to bring in a little bit of that classic Romulan flair, even though we were making
Oh,
something totally new. So if you kind of compare that to the Tal Shiar top, there's a little bit that you can see similar color variation and iridescence in like the scale mail.
I don't have that yet. That'd be from the net story I got. um,
Yeah.
but you can see it more on definitely top too. The whole patterning down the middle and the sides
Hmm.
there.
yeah.
Let's see.
If you make the jacket gray, those scales pop out more.
Let's see. Grayscale. We do love that. Ooh, yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, I love that touch. It's great.
I will probably do Klingon Riemann here for Barbie's sake and put on some different. Honestly, kind of like that as it is, but I'm pretty basic sometimes.
Am I recalling correctly that female Riemanns didn't exist prior to STO?
I think you're right. They weren't seen at all. It was just like Ron Perlman and a couple other etchers in Enterprise. The whole design of it being more smooth than the male Riemanns. I'm pretty sure that was a whole STO and invention.
The reason it rings a bell in my brain is because I think I remember a bunch of players being up in arms like, well, why didn't you make female Nausicaans or Gorn? Or like, if you're going to reinvent like new species from canon, then go all out, man.
I I would
And I
probably
agree. I'd love to
yeah.
make female, especially with the Strange New World stuff
Through
that's been
harmony we
airing.
are
I don't know if you've
secure.
seen that, but like
Through
there's a lot of
unity
inspiration I
we
think
are
we could potentially
strong.
take there to
Through
maybe make a
fusion
female
we
Gorn
are
species in the future.
victorious.
That is a good question I wanted to bring up. Romulans, if I recall correctly, they were you were like to get several additional like species options. I believe the EP at the time was it Stahl? Dan Stahl, yeah. He mentioned I think Suilbon and Hirogen at one point in one of the
Yeah.
engineering reports. Was there any like specific reason why that it was like not didn't happen essentially or
When you see features like that get cut from a major release, the 99% of the time it's just we ran out of time.
hmm
And not anything more insidious or anything like that.
yeah,
Hirogen were always kind of on the chopping block, to be honest, because they're such mercenaries, and
right.
we liked keeping them as kind of a bad guy for story purposes.
That makes
So
sense.
they were always kind of a question mark to begin with. But Suliban were initially meant to be part of it, as you can see with the fact that you get Suliban ships as
Well,
part
yeah,
of the
yeah, yeah.
Romulan faction. They weren't released with Legacy of Romulus, but they came later. So I think that there's a chance that, if we get the free time, if we don't have other pressing matters, we could potentially look into adding Suliban to the Romulan starting experience.
Is that
Because they,
something?
like I
Oh,
said, they
sorry.
were always kind of intended to be part of it. It was just a cut for time sort of feature.
Is that something
Yeah,
that's
there's the
always
whole
on the?
Suliban Helix mission as well. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, from the intro. Like, is that something you're always like thinking about in the back of your mind? Like, oh, we can add a species here or there. Like, we have the assets for Fed Orions as like a you know spitballing, right? We have Orions already in the game, but making the data and setting it all up is always like there's always like a cost benefit, right? Because you can't just like throw out a species for free, or
Well, that's
etc.
actually been an ongoing kind of internal struggle with ourselves over the
Mm,
years. Is like anytime we make something, if we have the capability of making more than what we release, then there's always this internal conversation of should we just release that more now, or do we hold on to it? Is it something we can charge a premium for later, or do a giveaway? The truth of the matter is that the vast majority of the time, if we have made the decision to hold on to something with the intent of releasing it later, we forget to release it. So, or it's just slips through the cracks or something like that. And then it
Oh,
either takes years
no.
or it just ends up not going live. So we've kind of gotten away from that as just a general practice over the years.
Mm.
We're more likely to say if we can do more, we'll just release more all at the same time. Yeah, the Kelvin volcano suit is actually a really good
Oh, I
example.
was going to mention that. I didn't want to mention it, but yes, it was one of those
Yeah.
things out there. Um, I suppose from like the 60th perspective, there are a lot of things you could draw from in that regard to just throw out there, not like
Oh, for sure.
spitballing,
Yeah.
but
In fact, you know what? If you don't mind, I'll go ahead and make a public plea out here to you
sure,
guys. If
sure.
there are things missing from any of your favorite shows, we'd really like to hear it because we're doing
Oh,
a lot of we're planning a lot of like giveaways and promotions and new bundles and stuff like that throughout the course of the 60th anniversary year, and it would be great to be able to plumb those depths and pull up more stuff that might be missing in y'all's opinion that we could get into the game and offer. With the caveat that we only have so much time to
of
make
course.
all things, especially if they have really high fidelity art ships. We've got our ship roadmap. We
Yeah.
don't need suggestions along those lines. But like costume pieces or
Welcome
guns
aboard.
or a cool power that somebody used somewhere that could be adapted into a trait or a kit module. I'd love to hear all that kind of stuff. If you guys want to drop
How
that
are
in
you
the
gonna spend
feedback
your
channel
winnings?
on the official Discord, that's the most likely place where it could get to me.
Thank you, YS Pete, for donating 100 bits. He says he's been playing STO for 12 years, but this is the first time he's tuning into a stream.
Through fusion,
So he's happy to see everyone making the game with us. So thanks for doing this, and a plea to bring back the Strange New Worlds uniforms that we would give away last year. Well,
Yeah.
I guess that does count as a feedback. Then you could throw in the threads over there on the server.
Yeah, past giveaways are a great thing to bring up. If it looks like we may have forgotten out about it, we might have.
Yeah, one of the ones I think people it was there for the longest time. I'm not sure if it's still there, but the Protostar uniforms, it was just like
Mhm.
sitting there on the promo tab saying you can't claim it right now, and people were like, what are they? Can I buy them at least?" So,
Right.
yeah, throw those into the thread as well. I would say.
Yeah.
Alright, so let's go talk to Sub Commander Nadell.
Time is short. I'm glad that you're settled into your new ship, as we can't waste any time. We've received word that the miners on Beta Thoradar have spotted Nausicaan pirates near their system.
That's another little.
The pirates haven't bothered to attack
I
the
always
mining installation.
called her Nadel.
It's only a matter of
So
time.
when you say Nadel,
And
I don't
they're
know if it's
likely
ever
to go
recorded
after
in
freighter
speech
traffic
anywhere, but
in the
I think
area.
she does introduce herself at
Beta
least once.
Thoradar
So.
is an unremarkable system, but there's a small Republic colony there that mines heavy metals necessary for ship construction. I need you to take your new ship to the Beta Thoradar system.
Doesn't she say
Thoradar.
Nadell when she introduces herself?
Just let
Yeah, at the
everyone know
after
that
the Tameo
Republic is
passes
watching.
away from that big boom, she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna be your new
heroically
liaison."
sacrifices himself.
That is a cool
There's
thing.
a reason that we've named a Alliance ship.
Yeah,
after
the
him.
Alliance Raider, of course.
What
Man.
do you call a storm full of Romulan officers? A sub-commander Reynado. Oof.
Alright, Mr. Shoegazer, this is gonna be a space part, so I believe let's just do a wheel spin. This is introduce the concept and so how it works. So this is for the space wheel. I have to switch them out between each space region and ground region. So I'll spin the wheel, and whatever I pick will be the debuff going into the next space part. So
Are people able to donate for additional spins? Is that what we're doing?
honestly, if we do that, if you mic it on the Kofi, I will do additional spins. That is right. So for this next mission, no buff powers. So
Oof.
that's the wheel number 1. So I got a question. Wiki canon uniform guides. That's a good question. A good answer is, I had a whole system of like doing them in the tailor with a template, then putting the colors on, then exploiting it, then putting the color guides on the wiki. I simply don't have the time to do that. So what I might do, I'll just put them on, and someone else can put the pictures up, because that's a lot of effort to sit at the tailor and
I should be taking notes.
color matching between the because it's hard to do. It's just sometimes those auto STO uniforms, right? They're like
Mhm.
either low poly, nothing against them, of course, but low poly or like those artistic liberties taken at the time to, I don't make it more like make it a game asset, right? So like the TOS skirts, they may not look exactly like the TOS uniforms because
Mhm.
they're not the same sort of like 60s fabric, etc. So you have to be like, oh well, the NPCs use this, so you want to look like what the NPCs look like, and not just what it looks like on the screen, because you don't always have that same sort of color palette and whatnot. So that's the challenge of doing those color guides.
Mhm.
I can't promise anything like Pundit's great like Vanity Shield image making prowess, but I will definitely start doing more of those color guides that we have like finished. I just haven't had the time to put the images together and put them on the color guides, because that is one thing we left behind from fandom, like the 2010, 2011 sort of like old canon uniform guides. It just didn't fit anymore, and we were when we first moved over, we were trying to trim the fat of like image hosting and whatnot. We've definitely scaled up since then, but it was a conscious decision just to leave some of that behind when we migrated over from fandom. Um, but thanks for the question, Wiki Bill. That is a good question. So stay tuned.
Once you guys have some sort of work in progress on that, I'd love to get a link. You can send it to me
Oh,
on
yeah.
Discord once you have it, and
Yeah, we do
I'll
have a
send it to one of
couple.
our character artists. We still have one of our character artists, Ian Castaneda, has been with the company for like 20 years. So he is very knowledgeable about the underpinnings of how costume data has to get set up, which is stupidly complex. But I think he might be, if we can find him some free cycles to help you guys out with assigning the correct color hex codes and stuff like that,
Oh, I would
or even
appreciate
fixing
that.
palettes that might be incomplete. The
That'd be
best thing
great.
you can do is provide us with good documentation of what's there so far, so
Mm.
we can see the gaps that we can spend some time filling in.
So we have a question, if you don't mind me asking real quick, about
Of course.
items that are missing that would be great to proliferate elsewhere. So this is about the Odyssey EV suit from the Legendary Vesta bundle that's only granted once from that bundle and nowhere else.
Oh, interesting. Usually we try to make those account-wide
Yeah.
rooms.
It was made for the Hook episode with the whole like alien setup.
Right.
This is asking, would you be open to putting it elsewhere, like in Phoenix or something, maybe, or a giveaway?
I'm open to it. When we get down to nitty-gritty details like that, it's just a matter of finding the right time to do it and get it set up, and also not just the developer time to like put it in more places or remove any restrictions that might exist, but also the QA time to make sure that it's not going to break anything by doing that. And unfortunately, we're in a place right now where our QA staff is a bit understaffed for the size of the project. So that's a constant struggle that we're dealing with, but things are getting better. I think we're starting some outsourcing. Yeah, I don't want to make any promises, but
that is.
But yeah, that has been a challenge recently. When we think about even bug fixing or tuning and things like that, it all has to go through our QA department and get it approved for release to make sure it's not going to break stuff and actually does what we have said it does.
Right.
And anytime we make changes internally, we put some sort of documentation with it, even if it's just patch notes. And somebody has to be our sanity check to make sure, well, you said this was changed, but it doesn't actually work, to make sure that we're doing our jobs right. So yeah, when we talk about updating anything in the game, we do have to keep in mind the workload that it puts onto QA. Sorry, I'm really distracted. I forgot that siphon frigates were a thing. This old content sometimes just reminds me of stuff that have been missing from the game, or missing from my brain space for so long. I think I made those.
Oh man, I've always enjoyed Agnosticans.
They're another kind of weird one, right? Because
yeah.
just like I was saying with Hirogen previously, like they're really just mercenaries.
Yeah.
Even in the way that we portray them, like in the Path to 2409 stories and everything, Gnosticans aren't really part of the Empire. They're just kind of mercenaries on retainer. But we do allow you to play as them.
Thank you,
I guess in that regard,
we are victorious.
Donation site. Pretty off.
Oh, donations! Yay!
Is that God?
Please support STO Wiki. I reference it at least twice a day.
Oh, thank
in
you.
my job.
Yeah, I do apologize.
We would be lost without STO Wiki.
We are dealing with AI scraping a lot, so the performance is a bit all over the place. We have to turn on Cloudflow often. AI scraping sucks. That's
Yeah.
bottom line. I really don't understand it.
Is that just increasing page hits?
Yeah,
just
pretty much.
exponentially?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
even set up anti-spam, and we had like 200 hits every week from like spam bots just trying to sign up.
Damn, that's basically like a DDoS on the site.
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah. So yeah, I do apologize in general for the. We were definitely working on load balancing and stuff constantly. So
More money helps. Bigger
yeah,
servers.
absolutely. Anubis. I would probably make a bug report in the Wiki Discord for suggestions there. Not to get into the technical nitty-gritty stuff, but if you have any suggestions, pop over discord.gg/Star Trek Online. If you want to throw a couple suggestions that way.
STO has their own pretty rockin' little community on Discord as well.
Thank you.
Actually, before we rolled out our official Discord, it was kind of the unofficial Discord
Yeah.
for player communication. So if you guys are interested, if you're into Discord as a community spot, definitely make sure that you're a member of the STO community. It's a great place.
Another donation from Disco Lexia? Sounds familiar. But thank you again. Alright, so we stopped the smuggling and the beta door system, and now it's a new lead to, I believe it's a Reman colony, so we'll see if there's any Reman dialogue coming up.
Odd. None of the colonies in contact with the Republic should be involved in weapons dealing.
And Beta Thermidor.
I will make it you will take your new ship over to the Chaltalk system in case we need additional investigating done.
Well, those gear I won't need because we
Time is
donated
short.
some gear.
What do you need? Congratulations, Centurion.
Thank you, Sila.
Greetings. I have a new mission for you on behalf of the Republic. We have traced the Iridian freighter you rescued back to the
Iridians, that's a fun one we haven't seen often. Not even in canon, I think.
Oh yeah.
Studying polaric energy.
No, I think they were at one point on the potential species list for Romulans as
Oh,
well.
interesting.
Again, like really not likely to happen, but I think they were on there.
Thanks for AceNet, another donation thrown our way. Appreciate it.
First incident we've had with the colony, and we suspect weapons smuggling is occurring. We have heard rumors of one weapons dealer in particular on.
So these Romulan missions, I remember them. All of them went through so many different iterations. To be perfectly honest, I think that anybody that worked on these is not really happy with the level of content and interest and the storytelling that we ended up delivering here. Again, it was a matter of time. But I mean, even looking back, I think that the quality bar in terms of like number of bugs, everything functions. But if you compare this to something more like the type of content that we did with Victory is Life,
Right.
and the variations in gameplay and the different ways in which we told stories and that, none of that was really present in this old stuff. This old
True.
content was basically just carried by the writing for the most part, which we had a phenomenal writer back in these days, Christine, who you might know as Kestrel, was her kind of code name.
It's interesting you say that because I feel like a lot of the early storytelling was like, yeah, it was bolstered by the whole like, it was just interesting at that point because there was no official Star Trek, right? You get these stories of post Nemesis. Oh, this happened to this species. This happened to that species. These
Yeah, sorry, I'm reading
outboard
some responses in the chat. I didn't mean to say like the story wasn't good. The story was fantastic. It's just that the gameplay was pretty vanilla when you get down to it. It really
would
was
say
just
so.
like go here, defeat people, scan some stuff, and beam up. There wasn't a lot of ingenuity, or we didn't take a lot of risks with this expansion. That's because this was our first expansion as well,
That's right,
We didn't
yeah.
really know what we were doing.
Was it always
we were-
earmarked as an expansion, or was it like, oh, this could be a season?
Yeah,
Was it?
yeah, for sure. No, it was definitely planned to be an expansion. The whole idea of a box was even like,
Wow.
this was at a point in time where you still sometimes had retail boxes, right?
Interesting. I know.
With the whole free-to-play transition, though, that kind of went by the wayside. But there was still some of that old school thinking out there. Like if you look at some of our contemporaries from our launch era of like Guild Wars 1, when they would do a big expansion, they would do, it's a whole new box, it's a whole new SKU, we would say, a whole new product that you would put on the shelves. And that was kind of the part of the concept here. It didn't end up being exactly how it was delivered, but there's still some of that old school thinking that kind of carries a through line in this stuff.
All right, Mr. Shoegazer, could you spin the wheel again? If you want to spin the wheel, it is in the channel points manager. It takes 250, up from 100 because there's a lot more people this week, and I don't want the wheel to be constantly spun. But Let's do that real quick. Thank you. Let's do a
You're
speed
very
spin.
welcome. Let's find out where the wheel go. Because
Right.
Twitch is advertising something called bits. And let's see, where is it?
What I've always spun for you. It is. Oh, I almost went to no shields. That would have been bad. It's just one weapon off, so let's just take off my torpedo and leave it at that.
Welcome aboard.
Thanks for following, Trexboot. Keep my eyes on the prize. Well, since Thon is here, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the idea of the Kellid vanity pet. He is very obsessed with that will be vanity pet accolade you added. I believe that was you that added that, right? What did that spawn out of? Because since then and before then, there were no like vanity pet accolades. There was just no incentive to go, oh, we get all the colors of the insect, right? Like, where did that come from?
So it came from me, and it was, in the early days of lockboxes, there's always a lot of things that we want to try in small ways to incentivize you to want to open more boxes. And a lot of that we ended up experimenting with on the low buy store, different types of prizes, different price points, all that kind of stuff. It's actually something I want to review this year if I get some time, because it's a little bit of a mishmash at this point because of the amount of experimenting that we've done over the years.
Yeah, I'd say so.
There's some inconsistencies that I'd like to clean up. But anyway, the Kellids came from a place of like, well, what if we had some sort of incentive for opening so many boxes of these random Kellids that you can finally collect them all? And there were like 12 variants or something.
Yes.
There's more colors than we had done on a vanity pet at that time. So that came entirely from me, but it got a little bit of internal pushback. People were like worried that it might come across as a little too scummy to try to like convince people through these sort of the term that gets thrown around these days is dark pattern, of trying to part a player with their money through like psychological tricks like that. So we decided not to make an accolade. It's hidden on purpose because we didn't want to put the motivation in front of players to try and, again, make it feel too scummy. And that's a balancing act that any free-to-play game does a lot of, is like trying to figure out how to... You need to encourage your players to spend money in order to pay your devs and keep the lights on and keep the servers running and everything, but you don't want to do it so much that it has a risk of driving them away or putting them into these strange, like, addictive behavior patterns or anything like that. So it's always a struggle to balance those things against one another, and it's subjective too. What can be seen as bad by one player is fine for another. So
I will say it took me 2 years worth of event campaigns to do it on my main, so that's like 3,000 lobby. Not to, I won't. Yeah, it was a long haul effort, and they are quite expensive at exchange. I do like the idea in general to have vanity rewards attached to accolades. It's such a little dangling carrot for future accolade hunters. Is that something to be considered for future content drops? I do know your content team has definitely done more with accolades than the last
they really like accolades, and our modern player base seems to generally respond very well to having those little accolades. There's a couple considerations to keep in mind there. One is that adding accolades to consoles is more of it's a more difficult process than normal. Like if we want to try and make them like the stuff that shows up in like your Xbox dashboard or PlayStation dashboard, which we don't really do these days. But anytime we talk about accolades, that becomes part of the conversation. We're like, but this is such a thing, and then we don't do it. The other side of that is in regards to the Kellids in particular, and part of the thought process there is that we have always kind of had this philosophy that accolades should encourage exploration and not just be things that you automatically achieve or things that require you to spend money. It's really about gameplay that the accolades were meant to serve. So that's one of the reasons you don't see, again, collection accolades for things like the Kellids, because it's really just, have you spent enough money to buy this accolade?
Right. Oh, absolutely.
Abstracted through different layers, but that's it. That is what it is. And so you won't generally see a lot of accolades that are just like automatically achieved, with some exceptions because we need to track certain things. Like we do accolades for like, have you met Janeway? Have you met Kamarke? Have you met Hugh? We use those internally in order to trigger later dialogue, so we figured we might as well expose them. Just cause
I've always wondered why those started happening. That's kind of neat, actually.
But in general, accolades should be limited to something that has encouraged exploration or doing something a little weird or optional. That's my philosophy anyway.
I think that's a good way to look at it. When you do achievements, right? Most of them are hidden to begin with, and the people find them through guides and whatnot. So yeah, Nimbus and the new Romulus exploration ones. Those are good examples of like, oh yeah, who's gonna think about climbing to the top of the bar, right? Like that's just like off the beaten path kind of gameplay. I do love the codes, that sort of thing. We got a donation from Wiki Bill, so we're at 28%. Up like 5% this stream alone. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, no, we do appreciate it. I was kind of launched at if I could get anyone, but Sana was very gracious. We'll have more awards from her after the season drop on Tuesday even, so that's just kind of nuts. Not to get into the season at all. I don't want to talk about upcoming content too much, but how would you say this anniversary compares to last year, which was very much still like getting it off on like a new, I won't say new cadence, but you know, new team, trying to still do the season at that point. How would you compare 35 to, like, is that 33 unveiled, I believe?
Well, it's a little bit bigger, a little bit closer to what we were classically doing as a team, because we've improved our capabilities. So you're going to see, I believe last anniversary, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we only had an episode. We didn't have a new TFO, if memory serves.
I think you're right. Chat can correct us if we're wrong, but I think it was just Axiom. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was just Axiom alone, which was huge, an enormous mission in many, many ways, and a huge learning experience as well for the team. So what you'll see this year is a few things. It might be... well, I don't want to get too deep into it, because like I said, you want to focus on
Yeah.
But I think the immediate obvious thing is that we have managed to do a TFO along our episode. So we're learning things. We're learning how to improve our production cycles and things like that. You're also going to see a full lockbox with brand new rewards that are really inventive, and of course the Alliance ship. We had one of those last year as well, but yeah. So everything is, I think, just a little bit bigger, which isn't about like trying to be bigger. It's really just a matter of the team is learning their jobs better, coming along and being able to deliver things more quickly and up to quality levels that we weren't capable of last year.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of plays already for like an event juggernaut. Like that's pretty big, since that's typically associated with a premium sort of starship, right?
It has been, yes. I think this is our first earnable juggernaut. In the game, yeah. But that actually came very early on, like when we started concepting that, like, gosh, that might have been up to a year ago. We were even throwing around the term juggernaut back then, because we knew we wanted to do a big, scary Dominion-inspired ship. So, yeah, it's been on the page on the books for a while.
Thanks for the sound alerts. I sort of added Wyconian ones last night. But,
from this time forward,
oh, that's a long one. Jeez.
you will service us.
From Trexpert, how does making achievements work? I'm not sure if he means accolades or like console achievements. I did want to mention.
If we're just talking about accolades internally, they're just a special type of mission.
Yeah,
that
I was
really
gonna
is
say
out
that.
there. You use the same mission editor and everything to build them out, just with special UI flags and stuff, so they go in a different part of this thing. But when you're talking about achievements, those have to be worked on with our console partners, because again, if you want them to actually show up in like the social bar of like on Xbox and PlayStation, I'll be honest, I have no idea how it's done, because we haven't done it since I've been lead, so I haven't had to investigate yet.
Is that something you want to look into? I'm assuming that's more of a like
yes,
thing.
Yeah,
though,
no,
right? For achievements on different platforms.
Arc acts as our liaison go-between with the console teams. So for everything. So yes, they would have to be involved. They wouldn't actually probably make any data, but they would be involved in the process of getting those approved and properly hooked up and everything like that. Steam achievements would be similar. Those have to go through an separate approval process with Valve. We haven't really done that before. And we're a small team, so figuring out where we can afford to spend time on little features like this. Do we want to spend it here? Do we want to spend it on some other quality of life feature, or what? That's a constant struggle to figure out.
You may call me Lordrix. I assume
Just to recap, since we've
So-
been doing a lot of streaming, but we beamed down after blowing a bunch of Heliogen up, and this is the leader of the Riemann colony, I believe. So, sorry, go on.
Lore tricks.
Yes.
So I actually did a little bit of work on this episode, actually. I said earlier that I wasn't involved in any of the content, but I forgot. I helped build out the Riemann enemies that you fight here with their psionic abilities and all that kind of stuff. Some of my first foray into enemy building. We call them critters internally. You probably heard us use that term. Critter is a catch-all for entities in the Cryptic Engine.
Good to know. So at some point, this predates me on the wiki. A lot of the NPCs were hyphenated like mob. I'm not sure. It must be just like the whole MMO kind of thing. At some
That's
point,
just old school terminology.
I'm probably just gonna move at some point to NPC because having like the Deledix critter would be kind of weird in the search results. But
or you can just use the term critter and adopt our terminology.
Hey, we might.
The old term mob, if I remember correctly, comes from like text-based MMOs way back in the day, that some enemies would be stationary and others would be mobile. And the mobile enemies were the ones that people tended to talk about and seek out. And they were mobile enemies, MOB. And then that kind of evolved as more 3D MMOs started coming out and everything, into just being a general catch-all for enemies.
Oh, we got a ground wheel spin. Okay, let's get that set up real quick.
Yeah,
I did add a
you've been
bunch.
having an easier time, so let's fix that.
Thank you. See, this is why he's number one. He wants to torture me. Alright, so we have to spin the wheel, then save it, then open it up again in Twitch. It's a bit clunky, I won't lie, but they just added this sort of wheel spin functionality on this site, so it will probably get expanded. So we're kind of the guinea pigs for this, honestly. Alright, the wheel has been spun, and we have to take off all our buff powers. Alright, so that should be easy.
You do that on the ground.
You just have to deny them all by right-clicking on them. I think that should work.
Oh, yeah.
Not something you can do on console, but on PC.
Right.
This also is an interesting episode because there is that, I think right up you have to put all your buffs against the camera.
Yep.
And I don't think you can do that on
direct
console.
them to move to a specific position. Yeah, I don't think you can do that on console. I think with this content plays slightly differently on console. I think they are given automated AI commands to move themselves, if I remember correctly.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I can ask that question, but I think Thomas, or maybe it was Kale or something, did reveal that at one point they did want to do something like Galaxy Quest. The question was, has STO ever wanted to do like a crossover event with another IP?
Yes.
I think Galaxy Quest was the one example singled out. So
we have a pretty tight operating contract in that regard, if it's still the same one that we had back in the year, back in the day, where there is some allowances for CBS Paramount properties, but there's none like we can't do a Neverwinter crossover because they're outside of our operating license. We can't do a Champions crossover, even though we own that IP.
Right.
We operate under a Paramount license, and so again, if our license is still the same as it used to be, then we can't do that. But yeah, Galaxy Quest was a Paramount property, so if I remember correctly, this might be a better question to ask Thomas because he was more involved in these conversations. But I think we actually asked them about it and got past some preliminary stages, but then just either decided not to do it or the licensing was a complication. I can't remember.
Let's see if we can get Thomas on the stream. I have to ask him. I was going to ask him, then the whole big announcement happened. So I was like, maybe it's slightly out of reach, but maybe I'll shoot him a DM anyway and see what happens.
Well, this is probably why you might notice there's a mobile game, and I always forget its name. Fleet Command, that's the one. That they did have the Galaxy Quest ship in there, right? So they're probably under a very similar operating license to what we had, and they just were able to make it happen. They're under Scopely. They have a lot of money.
Yeah, they got that Pokemon Go money now. They absorbed all of them now.
Yeah. Sorry, we missed a question from, I think it was Trexpert earlier. I'll read this out.
Sure.
Does having a younger-leaning, more late millennial Gen Z team change the dynamics, like more love for Enterprise or later era games like Legacy and Armada and Starship Creator, relative to the earlier dynamics even during COVID? The short answer is yes, but not to a huge degree. because we still have, even though the new blood, if you want to call it that, is new to Cryptic, some of them are MMO and video game veterans. Like our senior designer Phil Harris has been in the industry longer than I have.
Wow.
So it's not necessarily all younger people, but there is a spate to that. I think that you'll find some of that in, we've already announced that our post anniversary bundle is going to be enterprise themed. That might not have happened under the old team because they weren't as much fans of that. So
That's
but here we are.
interesting you say that, because
How are you gonna spend your winnings?
I think that was a donation. Hasn't shown up yet. Another 100 bits. I will get that in a second. I was gonna say that it's interesting you say it, because I think Age of Yesterday is as much as an enterprise expansion as it was like TOS. You're pretty much intrinsically
the
linked.
T NPC was Agent Daniels, right?
Yeah. Was there much pushback on that then, as like having Daniels as the grounding element for that, or was that always like
no?
the plan
And the whole inclusion of. So I remember some of those earlier conversations about Agents of Yesterday. We knew we wanted to do a TOS era expansion. So then the problem that we had to solve was, how do we bring the TOS era into modern STO or vice versa? And obviously time travel is the way you do it. So when we're looking at IP inspirations for big time travel arcs, the Temporal War, discussed and resolved through Enterprise, seemed like the obvious candidate. There wasn't really anything else that was as meaty that we could really sink our teeth into to sell that story. So yeah, we definitely we knew we had to do it, and we weren't afraid of it. It's not a matter of like, you Enterprise, you yuck. It's just a matter of like, when you think about IP inspirations, the old teams tend to go to DS9 and Voyager as the primary source of inspiration, and then branch out from there if those can't solve the problem.
Going back to Keonu Than asking a question here, he wanted to ask, how did the Future Fly, which of course is, if you don't know, the chat that is, it's the Back to the Future 2 hoverboard. How did those tie into IP discussion, or is this like a vague enough reference that it could be like, oh, you can see the installation there.
Skirting the line, yeah. There's allowances for homage, and we have nanopulse weapons that are obviously lightsabers, but they're not called lightsabers. And actually, Nanopulse, if you didn't know, is a reference to an old Mud episode of TOS that he created Nanopulse technology, and so we kind of ripped that off as an excuse to use lightsabers in the game. So there's always a little bit of muddy area. It's just like WoW can get away with doing modern like media references and stuff like that. We have to skirt the line. We don't do as much of that these days, but it's definitely something we could still consider.
It's funny you mention that, because you mentioning the nanopulse thing. I do believe one of the first, since you did the itemization for the original Winter event, I believe the first time they released the nanopulse weapons, it came from a little small green Ferengi vendor in like a bunch of Jedi robes. I'm pretty sure. I think
his name was Yoba.
Yeah, something like that. I think it's on the wiki. It's probably not something you want to do again, but.
It was our tongue-in-cheek celebration of the launch of Star Wars: The Old Republic.
Oh, that's right. I almost forgot.
Because a lot of us, we're sci-fi fans, and that includes Star Wars. So the release of that was a big subject internally, not just like as a competitor, but also as something that we as players of MMOs were very interested in.
You have to scan the camera now. It's on PC as well. You can't. Oh, interesting. It must have just changed the episode in general.
Maybe.
We also just passed the science objective to heal that colonist down here. What's something we also, the content designers have definitely done a lot more recently of the whole career-specific, profession-specific like objective, or at least like a little dialogue flavor that says, "Oh yeah, I'm a tactical officer. I can do this or that." Is that a lot of that?
This just got changed, huh? So you don't have to use your boss anymore. Interesting.
Is that something like? With a new team, I know recently before it changed, there wasn't a lot of the either crew or like species-specific dialogue. Was that something that when you were a new creative team went back and played the game and like realized, oh, we don't have enough of this old sort of like gameplay into the I guess the current episode structure, and we could spice things up a bit?
I think a lot of that just came from the inspiration and experience of Flo, who's our senior, I think, narrative designer now. She previously worked as a writer on Star Trek Infinite, which is as I recall, had a lot of this involved. Like the dialogue would change based on who you were. It was more
Yeah.
personalized. And I think a lot of the inspiration for that came from there. It's not something that we've necessarily tried to purposefully get away from in STO. It's just, it takes time. And again, not just the implementation to make sure the logic is set up correctly, but also text review time. You know, all of the text that we write in a story has to be reviewed by Paramount.
Oh, interesting.
So the more text we write, the more time that takes. And then there's also QA time, of course, on everything. And so when we write dialogue for an individual species, like there was a lot of liberated Borg stuff when you're interacting with Hugh in Axiom. That means that you have to play the episode separately as different species, and that has a QA footprint for playtesting for all of that. So we have to measure how much we do in that to kind of. There's a lot that we can do on paper, but once you get around to trying to make those things happen in the game, in the engine, oh no, Herogen.
They've trapped
it can
us.
be pretty complex.
Random Williams salute there. We're trapped with
I don't remember
torpedoes.
Herogen being here. I wonder if that was. I thought you just fought Riemann rebels here, but
I don't remember. So I want to go back
it's been
to
a long time since I read played this.
YSP. He did mention in 100 bits. I do appreciate that. I've read a lot about the restrictions of the cryptic engine and in parentheses, especially regarding making space things work in community posts. So if it's okay, I'd like to ask, if you could change or add one thing to make STO development easier, what would it be? I assume that's from the content perspective. Not, I know the art side of things would say a lot, like PBR rendering, etc. But what would you add, I suppose, that more modern game tools would have, I suppose?
Interesting question. So my only other game engine experience was with Unreal, which is not actually all that systems designer friendly, to be perfectly frank. So I think actually when we were working on our Unreal project that I was on for a little while here at Cryptic, we actually implementing and creating custom tools that were in many ways similar to the Cryptic engine. So this is a difficult question to answer. I think the biggest thing that we could probably work on is making better internal parsing and performance testing for stuff. Because we have kind of a half-finished internalized parser. It's a little clunky to use, doesn't have a good graphical interface, and we'd love to actually, well, I would love, as a kind of a pet project, for us to eventually refine that to the point where it could be a first-party parser, so players wouldn't have to rely on third-party tools.
And that would be great for console that has no
It would be,
capability.
yeah, because you can't.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't know if you've seen it, but there is like a player parser. It's really clever because it's solely based on like several dimensions of patrol. I think it's like Gala and like Hive and Infected.
Oh, one of your bridge officers is invisible.
Oh.
Who is that?
I'm not sure.
Or is that the NPCs?
I'm not sure. It might be the Uridians that we saved. They said, "Thank you for curing my illness," and then they're all dead now, it seems. But so I cured them so they could live and die for me. That's great.
Invisible Uridians. Interesting. Interesting cloaking technology.
But, yeah,
I think the other thing that would help us a lot, especially with modern implementation, is performance metering. If we had any sort of ways of determining if a power, because a lot of what we have is like just anecdotal. We know that things like making a bunch of entities at the same time, like the minefield you just laid down, is less performant than just making a power that blows up. And so it would be interesting to see if we could have better performance metering technology. I think that would help us a lot these days. But in terms of like the tech that goes into making stuff,
through fusion,
it's hard. It's really hard to say what we could improve because honestly, it's our engine, right? So while our engineering team is all new, you know, with the Deca fusion that happened over the last couple of years, we lost all of our game programmers. So they're still relearning our expertise. But technically, anything we want to do with our engine, we can do. It just takes time/money to do so. So over the years, any major requirements that the systems teams have had, we just filed as feature requests, and eventually they have gotten done in some way. So we're not really at a point where we're missing out on a lot of those technology features. It is far more prevalent on the art side of things. So as you said, things like PBR, better lighting tools, better cutscene tools. Boy, yeah.
I do want to mention the idea of like having that sort of shared code base is very beneficial for all three of your games. I'm sure Neville went through STO and I guess Champions to some extent. They all share the same code base, so everyone benefits in the end, I'm sure, right?
It can, but we can also step on each other's toes if we're not careful, right?
Fair enough.
There have been examples where STO has made code changes that have a negative impact on Neverwinter and vice versa. Champions no longer uses the same code. They've been branched off, we call it. So they don't automatically inherit code changes at this point. We can push them to that game if necessary. But Neverwinter and STO still occasionally share the same code back and forth between the products, which is, yeah, as you're saying, like any technological improvements that have happened over the years are a boon to both projects, which is cool. But if we change something, we have to be cognizant of the fact that it does change both projects, and sometimes we have to make exceptions to, like, say this code only works on Neverwinter or on STO, and yeah, it can get tricky to remember that sometimes when you're knuckles deep in the code and just trying to serve the needs of your team.
Here's a Riemann sizes murdered. I believe you probably were thinking of this.
Yeah, I think these were the ones that I probably helped make.
Also, we got a donation from Stu and Photogon, which is one of my very dear friends. Thanks you. Where did he go? He just ran away from me. Hey, that's not. You're supposed to be injured. Don't run away from me. Thank you.
You're good. Very good.
So we got 30% of our goal. Wow, thank you, everybody.
Anything. I spit on you and the Republic.
Oh.
Traitors to your own people. To die like this.
Yeah, this guy's going hard.
You terrorists. You care nothing for the common people. The Talshar, they protect us, make us stronger. You either choose a side.
I'm going to read back through the Discord stage chat afterwards, just to take notes on anything that's come up. It stays, right? It doesn't disappear when this is over?
Yeah, this is all it's just going to be. Like, this channel is always here, so it's all good.
Great. Good.
Well, it's not particularly Klingon of me, but since I'm Klingon aligned, but I would transfer him to sickbay. Because I assume the Remans are kind of extinct-ish. They really didn't have Remus was it, so I don't believe there was colonies that were though. But gotta save him, even though he's pretty dishonorable. So another question from Trek Spirit. I'll just generalize this a tiny bit. For console, you kind of went into this with the Q&A recently on the official Twitch stream, but is optimization for console a list on the bullet point list of things to do, even if it's dead last? He brings up the example of some TFOs are tweaked from PC to console, like the Rule of 10th one uses turrets, which I didn't know. That's kind of I didn't know that at all.
I didn't know that either.
Generally,
we try to stay on the same data for both PC and console. So there's a pretty clear delineation between data and code, right? So code is like the actual programming that goes into it, the infrastructure and all that kind of stuff, which has to be different. The engine runs differently on those platforms. But as far as the data of what items you can achieve and where they're available and how the game plays, we try to maintain as much parity between that, because frankly, we don't have the manpower to be able to support two different versions of the game. So little changes like you're talking about with changes to a TFO, I'm not familiar with that. I think that's something we would avoid, generally speaking, and must have been some sort of special consideration for that specific piece of content. But generally speaking, we don't want to do that. We don't like to do it. It causes also, if somebody reports a bug on one of the platforms and they don't say which platform they're on, it can get difficult to track down, why is this bug happening here? It's not happening internally, and we always use the PC as our default internally. So it can cause more problems than it solves potentially, and so we try to avoid it.
I do want to point out the wheel is open for someone to spend.
As far as optimization, though, the question of hardware optimization, I doubt that there's going to be much effort put into that. But as older Xbox One and PS4 are kind of nearing the end of their service cycle, if I understand correctly. I think that both Microsoft and Sony are winding those down if they haven't already. So there is some effort that we have to make sure that if our game was originally ported to those consoles in particular, we have to make sure that if those consoles are no longer going to be supported, that we understand how to be supported on the next generation of consoles. And that doesn't necessarily mean making changes, but it means at least understanding what the console generation change means to us. But if we're paying attention to the code at that level, there is possibility that somebody might say, hey, this could be optimized, and make that change.
Thank you for this wheel spin. I can't use my buff powers, but thankfully we have missile turrets to just stay by and they should keep me alive, hopefully.
Good luck. This is a tougher mission. No buff powers. This is hardcore.
Yeah. I got inspired by it. It was there was a couple of people on the Reddit that were doing the hardcore runs. I'm like, how do I gamify this to make it just as hard as a normal hardcore run, but just give it a little bit of oomph? Yeah, I think I landed on a good wheel spin.
It's extra hard now because you're a lower level. I can't see your level, but you're not 60.
Yeah,
so
we're starting
you still have limited weapon slots and all that.
Yeah, so I was kind of cognizant of I'll change the weapons I have to take off as I get more ships and more weapon slots. But I'm not gonna say, oh yeah, I won't use all my aft weapons at level 10 or whatever. I don't hate myself that much.
I want to respond real quick to Muwak's mention in the Twitch chat of the console Taylor load times on the console. I'm perfectly aware of how abysmal they are. It hurts. And it is something that Thomas and I have been talking about. We want to see if we can do something about that in the coming year. Taylor optimization in general is a hot button topic internally, so you are not alone in feeling the ick from that.
Oh, that's a good question from Sir Boulevard. Here's a fun question for you about what is your favorite content in a game, as both a player and as a dev? So I guess that's a two-sided question there.
So I don't think I'm a typical STO player. I like to just kind of get in and vibe out and just like go somewhere where I can just hang out and play. So my favorite types of content are the Dyson ground battle zone, the Dyson space battle zone, and the Badlands. Badlands less these days because it's really been power creep to hell and back. It's not as fun to play as a mid-performance player like myself. But I really like the adventure zones, the battle zones. Sometimes I even go back to Cavalli, just because they're a type of content where you can just kind of, you don't have to pay a lot of attention to the story that's going on. You can just get in and shoot stuff and have fun fighting things and interacting with the stuff. Those are probably still my favorite to play as a player. And actually as a dev as well, I think they stand pretty high because they were really tough to do. They were really big challenges for us to pull off. And I actually helped a lot with the Dyson ground battle zone with like pioneering, and that became kind of the model that we used for all of our later battle zones. So I was a big part of that process, creating the Voth and creating all the mini games and helping with the map control setup and all that kind of stuff. A lot of that was the brilliant work of our content team, but I had a hand in assisting them with all of that. So I'm really proud of that, and it's always stood apart to me as a kind of unique element to STO. You know, our story content gets a lot of the limelight, deservedly so. But I think that besides the core mission journal content, those adventure zones and battle zones have been something that I've always really enjoyed. They also have scratch a little bit of that itch of exploration, because you're constantly moving around to other objectives within the zone and blazing your own path as far as what you go do next. So there's a little bit of that scratches that itch. I think that's why I like them.
It's funny you mentioned that off the beaten path sort of things. Our last Wiki server event was going across Alpha, Beta, Delta, and doing all those old deep space encounters, which I actually kind of found pretty fun, because one of the things those encounters do is escalate if you have enough people in them, which doesn't normally happen if you don't have a squad going around doing that. So I really like that sort of off the beaten path kind of. Wow, it was an alert in sector space. It's very Star Trek to be like, oh, I gotta answer the stress call, right? Not just go off to fight Viju or something. Just help a bunch of colonists or something. Which I think that's kind of the charm of these early missions as well. It was just basically making a whole faction as the factions come into fruition. You have to help the Tan. You have to find own homeworld to start even. You don't even have a home.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
On the run from the Tal
Spoilers.
Sort of stuff. Oh, but we saw it last week. It's okay. Before we continue, let's roll a giveaway for the Keith. Who's gonna win Keith? Vinewood underscore OG. No, we got a T6 coupon coming up. I'm sure you want one of those. Vinewood_OG has won the giveaway. I'll message me on
Congratulations!
Twitch
Woo!
with your
Yay!
character name and handle, and I'll give you Keith. He'll be yours. I need him off my ship. Keith is going crazy on me over here, man. All right, let's immediately just go back and do a master key giveaway. So 20 master keys. Then we'll do the coupon. So that'd be half an hour. Get some master keys. 20 keys. All right. Again, exclamation point raffle.
Keith is the name of our old software engineer lead before the Deku transition. So it's funny.
Oh, this was Trava comes in, I think.
When you tripped
Yes.
our monitoring program, the Star Empire sent me to investigate.
If there were a console called the Randall device, what would it do? It would be really ineffective, but look cool.
I believe you should reference the old what was it? You put stuff here? What was it, Voigon ships or something? Descriptions?
Yeah.
It was just putting like a box on the ground. And it was just say you put it here and play a bunch of horns. Congratulations.
If you agree, we would like you to remain within Titan's terrorist cell for the time being.
Oh, they want me to turncoat.
Trust you. The intel you could gather would be very valuable. The Empire rewards its loyal children.
Tal'Shiar wants to recruit you.
But it also punishes its enemies.
Hey, if you donate enough, Tal'Shiar, I'll be I'll consider it. Been watching me?
I'm so tempted to type raffle, but no, I'll withhold.
It is very tempting. Maybe you can spin the wheel. You can get some of your gambling in the wheel. It's okay if you can just enter and run away if you need to. You'll still be entered. It's not a bad activity.
I don't want to take it from somebody that actually should win it. If I need keys, I can take care of that myself.
Just go up a betting. I missed the question as well. Well, YSP there was announced. I think Sana already said there was gonna be a coupon in a couple of days. So yeah, from the anniversary giveaways. But we also giving away some coupons ourselves. So hey, just stick around. Hey.
I'm really glad that Suna was able to get you some prizes to give away for this. It's awesome. I think it's something we're going to be trying more of. I've been wanting to push for more community involvement for years, and I think Suna's finally been able to spend some time on helping that become a reality. So
yeah, I do really appreciate it. I do hope to do it more of this in the future. It's kind of a long shot. Last year we kind of skipped it for engagement, sort of. But this year we want to do a big push with not only the game's anniversary but the Wiki's anniversary, kind of line up at the same time.
You don't understand yet, but you will. The Romulan Republic is a terrorist organization.
So you're going to join Charva?
Oh well, it's tempting. I mean, she's got to give me a bunch of fake information first. No, that's a spoiler. fake data.
Think about it.
As a sign of good faith, let me lie to you.
Guaranteeing security for those of us who survived the destruction. The military has the ships and manpower.
The Think wants to know how often you use the wiki yourself internally and to look up something quickly. I think you mentioned that a bit earlier, but I guess you could expand that to how does the team in general use the wiki? That would be kind of neat to know.
STO wiki links live in all of our documentation, pretty much.
Yay!
And I personally reference it every single day, multiple times a day. There's pages that you guys have created over the years that are better than any of the documentation that we have internally. And trying to create such documentation internally at this point is kind of a moot point when you have already created it for us. So it's become really handy. Like I have bookmarked the Starship Traits page and the Bridge Officer Kit Ability page. Those are two of the ones that I reference the most in my day-to-day work. So those are the big ones. But like, there's so many things that we look up all the time. Our entire internal documentation for comparative analysis of starships, which we use when we're trying to make a new starship, all of the data is pulled from STO wiki.
Ah, wow.
So it is an invaluable tool to us, and I didn't get around to it last week, but I'm going to be making an internal post this next week to our team about saying like, hey, you guys don't know how much this is worth. Go donate to them. So hopefully you'll get some cryptic folks shoveling some coins your way.
Yeah, it's a labor of love both ways, so we do appreciate it. The sort of cross pollination. I know I talk to pundits a lot, just in general about this and that, and well, he's been getting like ship links for for, like ship variant little visual section we've got, so it's good to have that sort of data for people to know. Oh yeah, the whatever was this long, or etc. It's great to know in general.
Yeah.
So there's a lot. Nothing but love. From
I could even
both
see
sides.
I don't have any like firm plans for this, but I could see a future where we actually have some reason to put STO Wiki links in the game. It's that important to the longevity of such a venerated title.
Well, there is actually one place that does live. This is you remember Christian, of course, from QA from way ago. He did put it in that little like help I'm stuck section. I can show you real quick actually. What is it?
That's cool.
Yeah, here. It's right here. Let the screen catch up a bit, but that was he was one of the first people I reached out to. Said, hey, we'll be doing it soon. If you want to boost us or anything, he was like, yeah, let's put in the help menu. Like, oh, thanks.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, Charva's not
well, we went up to 31%. Thanks, Mac. Is that Shoegazer?
That is Shoegazer's real name. Yes. I actually do have a question for Bort. Actually.
Sure, go ahead. Oh, it was also another question. I'll give it up afterwards.
It's actually going to lead somewhere. So someone once shared on Reddit that that they regretted naming the kinetic cutting beam with the word beam in it, and that in their mind it would be called a kinetic cutting laser. Have you ever thought about perhaps
I think that was me.
naming the kinetic
I think that
cutting
might have
beam?
been me that posted that. Yeah.
Thanks for the sub.
Yeah, might have been you. You know, as one of the builders in the Wiki server, you know, the Omni distinction is a little stumbling block. You know, so
right, and that despite behaving in many ways like an Omni beam, it doesn't share the set limits and it doesn't have any firing
predates them
modes.
completely, I think, by some number
If you
of
were
months.
if you were to see that item released in the modern game, it would almost definitely be an experimental weapon and not a standard weapon that goes in those other slots. In terms of renaming it, I think there's a handful of things like that we I pay attention when we're doing new things about making sure that our naming conventions and terminologies are as consistent as possible. But going back to change old things is always a bit of a question mark about whether we should do it or not. Even to this day, if somebody would do a search for kinetic cutting beam, which is the well-known term for that item, and it's even sometimes initialized as KCB, you know, if we changed its name, people that were looking for that might not know how to find it or be confused by the fact that they can't find it under that name. So I don't know, an item like that has so much inertia to it that it might never get changed. But nomenclature, terminology that goes into the game these days is something that I pay very close attention to. An example recently, we had wait, did this go live yet? Let me think. Yeah, the Orion ship.
The Interceptor, cool. Because there's a hangar pet, which is not the same thing at all, but they're both like from the canon ship, I think.
Yeah, so the Interceptor name was something that we decided to just stick with. We didn't want to go back and change the old hangar pets, but if we were to change anything, it would have been the old hangar pets, not the ship, because it was called the Interceptor on screen. But it had I think it was the experimental weapon, was named inconsistently with its energy type. That's a
Decepticate or something like that.
Yeah, that's a pretty major failure of that same sort of thing that I try to make it sure that we're paying as close attention to, and making sure that if we call anything a torpedo, that it is a torpedo. It's not a console that launches torpedoes. And so if we have a console that launches torpedo-like things, we tend to call them warheads or projectiles, and not use the terminology of torpedo, because that can imply to many people, that it uses torpedo firing modes. I think that's a fair assumption. So making sure it's got the right terminology is important. Same with even like experimental weapons that do kinetic damage. There might be some out there that use the term torpedo, but I'd prefer if they didn't.
Thank you again, Shu, for the question and for the spin, because now we have to take off a deflector, which means no heals.
Thank you for that.
So
You're
thank
gonna be
you. No,
naked by the
thank
end
you.
of this.
Yeah, I
Yeah, and
mean,
naming things like that and keeping consistency and everything is why we here at the Wiki need all of your support, chat. So just keep
yeah.
us in mind,
It
and
looks like
that
we're
way
not the
we
only
can
ones visiting.
make sure
All
that
this
nothing
debris
like
is
the
attracting
KCB can ever
Gnolls
happen
against
again.
scavengers.
I
16.
do love oddballs
Clear
because
the
I
area
get to
of
put in the
Yeah.
notes. This is not what things are usually called, but this is what this is called. I do like that.
Keep me
So,
honest. Yeah.
I can name one though. I think it was as mistake. The Shango-Oz console it's prefaced universal hyphen console and not console hyphen universal.
Whoops.
That's about it. That's what I can think of off the top of my head. But it's not a big deal. But
It's a small thing, but yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't put it on the exchange where that would be
Yeah.
where that would matter the most. So, and that's something that's why I try to keep the names consistent too. Is if it can be traded, then I'm really hesitant to change its names.
Yeah. Yeah. Stalin makes a good point. Christian from QA, who did a lot of stuff.
Yeah, a
waiting
lot of
out.
the stuff that you're talking about, like little changes that Christian
Yeah.
made as well. Towards the end of his tenure at Cryptic, he was actually kind of training unofficially to potentially join the systems team. So he was flexing his skills and under the tutelage of folks like John Herlash to kind of like dip his toes into that water. Kind of similar to some of the stuff that Jet Spartan did back in the days before she officially joined the systems team.
No, the radiolytic army doesn't have a weird name, but it has an odd icon, which is just the default phaser icon.
I think that was fixed recently. It might go live next this week.
Good. Hey, gotta scoop everybody. Hey,
it's just an icon.
No, for some people the icon is everything.
No, didn't someone make a bug report in the official server that the arc overlay was a 270-degree overlay?
Oh, I did not know that.
Over the weapon.
Yeah, fun to look at. Interesting.
And they mentioned that it's not in an arc of an Omni. It's a beam ray arc. Sorry, I don't have a radiolytic Omni. I'm not.
Me neither.
So,
I didn't be able to confirm that.
Do you mind if I take a minute to kind of peel back the curtain and tell you why that might have happened?
Sure, go for it.
So in STO, we use a certain type of power overlay called a combo system, which is essentially there is a master power that acts as a container, sort of, for multiple individual powers. And this is how our firing modes work for weapons. So you have a master power that is called our combo power, and within that it contains the basic firing mode, for a beam that includes fire at will, and beam overload, and surgical strikes, and singularity overcharge. And all of those are contained within that wrapper, within that master package. And you can see this sometimes when we use combos. You'll see them in your powers tray display window, that you can see like multiple sub power descriptions.
Is that like when it says like +1 tooltip sometimes? Is that a similar?
No, that's a different hack.
Okay.
But like if you open your powers here on the stream and just look at one of your weapons, I think you'll see that they have multiple firing modes listed there, and it's because we use those combo wrappers. The data attached to a combo power doesn't really control anything about how the power activates, because when you press the button, the combo says, here are the aspects of your weapons that have evaluated true, so this is the power you actually activate, and not the combo. So it kind of is just a dynamic redirect to the actual power that you should be activating. So what I'm guessing happened in this weapon's case, if it actually fires as a 360, but it looks like it's a 270, is probably the combo has the wrong power arc in it. But it doesn't matter because it's just a redirect.
Gotcha.
So is that how all firing modes work for like torpedoes, beams, etc.? It's like chaining off different powers, essentially.
Most of them. So when you talk about specialization powers, then it gets a little bit of case by case, because we learned the hard way that adding new powers to the combo powers for all of the existing weapons in the game is really error prone. It's hard to do, it's time consuming, and it leaves a lot of room for potential error. So what we've adopted doing instead is things like exceed rated limits is not part of the combos. It's a separate attachment that just dynamically changes the powers, the basic firing mode. And a few others do this as well. I think that surgical strikes is the last time that we made an actual combo modifying power. So with the intel specialization. I might be wrong about that, but that's what my head's telling me right now.
So I'm trying to skip like upcoming content questions because it's kind of out of scope for Void here, and also I just don't want to I don't want to pry too much. It's just like Kale used to do. No, we don't talk about upcoming content. Questions here.
If it's a really good question, we're only 2 days away. I might be able to spoil something, but I agree in general.
Yeah.
Let's skip to stuff that I can actually talk about.
So Jackfoot is asking, if you were developing STO today, what are 2 things you'd copy paste as is, and what are 2 things you rebuild from the ground up? Oh, damn. It's
wow.
We didn't find anything unusual.
So this is controversial.
Sure.
But what I would rebuild from the ground up is space combat and ground combat.
Would it still be...
those are the 2 things that I would rebuild from the ground up, and there's 2 different reasons. One is that the Cryptic engine is a superhero engine, so it might not be obvious because of all the layers of abstraction we put over the top of it. But when you're flying around in space, you're just flying. You're just a person. You're just a dude flying around in an empty map with no floor.
No way.
You're a superpower. You're a superhero. And there's a lot of limitations that brings to it. Like, we are technically in a space that has physics, has gravity, and we have to make a conscious effort to kind of avoid those or turn them off when we're dealing with space combat. We've adopted a lot of standard practices over the years to make this not a real big thing that we have to think about on a regular basis. But if you get down to it, space combat could have probably been built better. If you were thinking about how you would build a space game from the ground up, I think you'd probably re-engineer that space region in a completely different ways. Another thing that I changed fundamentally is just our weapons fire too frequently. It's always kind of rubbed me wrong that it's not the same way that you see them firing on screen, even, except with the exception of Deep Space Nine. So like I'd slow down power activation a lot. It would be a much more strategic game. But that does changes that we're way too far past for me to make those kind of changes to the game now. But as far as ground combat is concerned, I would want to rebuild the entire thing as an actual cover shooter, like Gears of War or Mass Effect, the first Mass Effect, where cover actually matters, because as you see on screen, a single phaser shot can ruin your day. And that's not the way, rushing in guns blazing. This, again, it's a superhero game, really, because it's a superhero engine.
All the guns is just houses. It was just like, I'm just tossing my laser eyes out. But my laser eyes they're actually just Shax's cannon. It's, I don't have X-ray vision or anything. It's got big old cannon. As a recap for the story, we were on Veronite again, and because Travis says we were harboring weapons and whatnot, we gotta find those weapons and prove we were wrong. And also the whole allies part of the story is us. It's kind of, the game is trying to show us oh, you went Klingon, you went Fed. Well, this is the consequence. You're gonna be butting heads with the faction that he was technically at war with still. I mean it's not very
You chose Klingon?
Yeah. It was one of the polls we did in the lead up. I kind of rigged it. I'll be honest with you. It was gonna be Fed versus Fed, and what's the fun in that? So I was like, hey, it was a tiebreaker. I did it between 3 of our servers: the builds, the wiki, and the official server, and it just happened to turn out that there was enough overlap and ties that I could get away with Fed or KDF. And we did science and tactical warbirds and Riemann, which was a oversight on my part because I forgot you had to buy Riemann's initially.
Oh.
So I just bought some Riemann's. It's a couple of dollars either way. It's okay. It's not free to play anymore. But hey, it's fine. Back to questions here, but thanks for the 100 bits.
By the way, I just want to preface, in case you guys aren't connecting the dots here, I can't make those type of changes to STO.
Oh yeah, no, it was all hypothetical, so don't get your hopes up.
It's a complete impossibility. Don't worry about it.
I don't want to see on Reddit in the next week. Ground and space combat total revamp 2026. I don't want to see that, please. I don't want to be part of that.
No. But if I'm involved in any conversations about a theoretical STO2 at any point in the future, you can bet that I'll put my 2 cents in there.
Why is Pete donating 100 bits? And also another member mentioned, is that why there was a little disconnect? And sometimes you get your captain in space these days as a bug?
Yeah. I mean, you're just a dude. So again, under the hood, like the way that we handle ships is a system that we call the Puppet Master, and you are just puppeteering a ship. So, and sometimes when the data loads in, if there's any sort of server latency or performance issues or anything like that, occasionally information can get lost between your player account, your player container, and the Puppet Master. So you might have the stats of your puppet, but not the costume. Maybe the costume didn't load in or something like that. I think that's the most common iteration of this problem that you can sometimes see. And it can also occasionally, although far less frequently, happen the other way around, where when you're transferring from space down to ground, it can fail to load in your ground costume. And so you end up as a ship on ground. But that's another thing that I don't think is obvious to a lot of players. If you've seen screenshots of that with your ship like floating around the promenade on Deep Space Nine, you'll notice it's not enormous.
It's not the
right?
size,
It's about like 15 feet long or so. That's the actual scale. We're just faking everything with smoke and mirrors to make it seem like your ship is so much bigger. But that's the actual size that your ship is in terms of the content. Like when it comes down to engine distance units, that's how they translate between regions.
So it looks like Vex was not making chemical weapons, he was purifying the water supply. What a... How devious.
How dare you make drinking water?
Yeah. One of the lines was something like, we were well equipped for a drought, but not for the destruction of a colony by our own people. This is... Youch.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Kellids. Shout out for Kellids. They're everywhere now.
Welcome to Planet Kellid.
For what they have done to our colony.
I didn't realize he straight up killed the opposite faction in this episode. I thought he stunned them. Oh.
I'm sure your weapons are set to stun. Don't worry about the
sure.
disintegrations.
It's all good. So we had a question from the Mako Leggett about... Oh, this is a general question. Is there any way to limit my turn
I'm about
rate?
to answer the general question.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, you lower your engine subsystem power, and then you can have the slowest ship that you
There's
want.
also the Bozeman engines from the Phoenix box. If you go to full throttle, it like pretty much cuts your turn rate to like 3 or something. So like in general, I like the visuals of those, but they're not like great in practice. But if that's something you could probably look at, it does have this weird like screen shake element to it. So if you're sensitive to that, I wouldn't do it. But
I thought we removed that.
I think
adding
so.
to my note.
For those of y'all who are new to the chat and stream, I'm Shoegazer. Not much co-hosting today, because that's Borticus now. Sorry, Borticus, you've been drafted. But I'm.
It's fine. I used to do this for a living.
Yeah.
Yeah. I live in the Wiki server and will gladly talk builds to anyone because I have insomnia. So yeah, any build advice, whatever, just at me, slide into my DMs. Don't be weird, and yeah, I'll help you out with weird questions like how do I make my ship turn slower, which you're not the first person to ask me that.
I do love good cannon builds. I want to mention BC Masamune. They mentioned a question. There's been a consideration to set up bridge officers, boss, as your ship to go out and do missions or act as wingmen. I believe that I heard from someone or something that the Endeavor system spun out of conversations. Admiralty, there we go. Yeah.
Yeah. So the idea of Admiralty spun from sending your buffs and your ships. There was this concept way back in the day that you might recall hearing. I think it was Ricosa used to talk about promoting your first officer to captain.
Yeah, that was like from launch era, and like, oh yeah, we're gonna be having captain buffs and stuff like that.
Yeah. That's kind of where it came from and what it became Admiralty, which obviously is not fully delivering on the fiction there, the fantasy of promoting your buffs. But that's where it ended up. Admiralty was heavily inspired by the idea of sending the ships you're not currently flying away to on these missions to save the galaxy without you, or just to bring back resources without you.
I've always liked Admiralty, not as just a resource generating thing, but I've always liked the fantasy of you're supposed to be an admiral in some cases. You're supposed to be sending ships out, not just your own flagship.
I'm glad you said that because the initial campaigns anyway were 100% written by me.
Oh, nice.
And it's one of the biggest focused pieces of writing that I've been able to do in the game, and I'm really proud of it. That the players have enjoyed it, and it even became kind of a template for future campaigns as well.
Yeah, kill a bunch of people. They've
I
fought
always
my
love
inventory.
sending the dreadnought out for Gach. You know, just on its own.
Yeah, it's a very important diplomatic mission.
Has there been any consideration to do? This is technically an upcoming content question, so I apologize to myself for asking. Is there any been thought given the expanding Admiralty to give like more missions, more like ways to use those cards?
Listen, we talk about all the times about what existing systems in STO that have been neglected over the years should we revisit and expand or upgrade or add new features to. And Admiralty's on that list. So is Reputation, so are Fleet Holding, so are the Duty Officer system, R&D. Like these are all systems that we acknowledge have been sort of laid fallow for years and not really paid much attention to. And that's not a good look for a game our age. Like if it makes it look like we either don't know or don't care about those parts of the game, which isn't true. And so, especially in the next year or so, where we've been giving a lot more focus on the returning player aspect, or reinvigorating this sense of like nostalgia for the game and what it used to be. I think those conversations are going to take more focus in the coming years, and you're likely to see some sort of expansion or exploration into making some of those old systems, revitalizing them in some way, even if it's some small way.
I do remember, I think it was a Priority 1 interview with Andre, the ODP at the time, about like some sort of way to send like your fleet members to send Admiralty ships to assignments and have like, it sounded like some sort of like giant like Pokemon gym battle with like Admiralty cards at some point.
You love Pokemon Go, I'll be honest.
I'm more of a Pikmin player, but yeah, honestly, yes. I do love.
Andre used to ask us frequently if we should pursue looking into like some sort of mobile game tie-in or a mobile API of some sort for the game, and we did. But it's such a huge footprint on dev time. Like we'd essentially need a whole second team to do that sort of thing.
Would you say in the next year is there more of a focus on like what you basically said that like more of a focus on like reviving these concepts of like test the waters and say, well, people do want this and that again. We could add that to a regular release cadence, or just having things like spliced into your normal seasonal release that people would expect.
You know, I think we're early enough in the dev process that I can't make any promises, obviously.
Of course,
but like
of course.
Those conversations are happening, and you might have heard me comment recently in Discord channels that like we've started looking at some old content that we're considering bringing back or revitalizing in some way. The same is true for systems. We've started having those conversations, and it's a matter of figuring out what sort of resources the team has that can be spent on things like that, and then deciding which things we think are more important or will have a more positive impact on the health of the game. And unfortunately for I know a lot of players preferences, a lot of that health of the game comes down to what can we make money off of. You know, we have to make those decisions as developers. Those conversations have started. I want to urge caution, but our interest is there, that we would like to be investigating this stuff and again revitalizing aged content or aged systems that have been perceived as neglected in the recent years. We'd love to try to find some efficient way to, even if we touch it in just some small way, to make it seem like we're paying attention to those systems, because we are. They're all important. And when we look at our daily KPIs and what players are engaging with, there's always things that we see players using that we haven't touched in years. I mean, Captain Specializations actually are a great example of this. We pay a lot of attention when making new ships to what the specialization seats are. And that means that our Captain Specializations, even we haven't made one in like 7 years at this point, 6 or 7 years. But there's still such a centralized focal point to one of our biggest financial, revenue generators in the game. They are super important, and the fact that we haven't done anything really to improve or to make it look like we're actually paying attention to that really important aspect, I think is a missed for us as a dev team. And I'm hoping that in the next year, maybe 2 years, you'll find that conversation has shifted.
Was there any? This is more of like a personal question. Was there ever been thought given that we can do like one tier of specialization at a time and like drip feed it, sort of like
Maybe. I mean,
something like that
you know that
instead.
like our last primary specialization is what I was referring to. That was probably 6 or 7 years ago, but we've done a couple secondary specializations since then. And the conversation of those has always been like, if we put out a secondary specialization, we want some sort of idea of what could be the primary specialization translation of what this is. So if we ever change strategist, for example, into a primary specialization, there are some old design docs with high-level conversations about what shape that could potentially take. But that's actually a bad example because our old ideas for strategists were not very good, in my opinion, because it's space only. That doesn't work for a primary spec.
So it was a shot of possibilities. It spawned invisible. My clones was just not there.
Oh, they can't clone your costume for some reason.
That's odd.
Interesting.
And that Logman captain almost wiped me all out. Helped us all out with that like, hyperionic radiation. This was trying to Federation. They got radiation over there.
I may steal a copy of your character to track down that bug.
Oh yeah. I think I've seen it before, but yeah, appreciate it.
Because it's costume related, obviously.
Yeah.
So, might not happen for everybody.
I don't have a like concrete info to make a bug
Oh, look at
report,
that outfit.
I've noticed weird tailor issues where I can't restore just outfit from my templates for some reason. I have no like rhyme or reason to the pattern.
Oh yeah, what was
why
it?
it's
What was
happening.
Yeah, the feds do get a good amount of drip compared to us. I think the Federation Jebediah allegiance outfit is also quite nice.
So cool.
Also, his
I haven't
voice
seen it
is
in a while. My
crazy.
Romulan is KDF as well.
He's got that like Castlevania cadence to him. It's crazy.
I don't think you can use those shoulder guards anywhere. We don't have that, I think.
Well, predictably speaking, this colony was dedicated to the survival of its own people and not mass weapons of destruction, as Trevor indicated to us. We may have been lied to.
Uh-oh. The Tal Shiar lied to you? No.
Hey, Trevor.
Shocked Pikachu face.
I may have missed a couple questions up here. So it was a question about cross-faction armadas. In 2026, how feasible is cross-faction X anything at this rate? Like teaming or coming to social zones?
I have no idea. That's a real. I'll be honest. I have no idea. That's a very much a fundamental code question.
Yeah.
It is a question that I have recently posed to our programming team to see if they have some time to investigate it. But I have no idea how difficult it is. I'm sure it is difficult, but who knows if it's actually something that's just difficult as in we don't know how to do it, or difficult as in we do know how to do it, but it'll take a year. You know, there are different conversations of difficulty there that can happen.
But are you aware that we can have we have a workaround to make a cross-faction team?
I am tangentially aware of it, but again, since it's primarily a code thing, I've never really put it on my radar.
Cross-faction teams made when we make a TFO. You can maintain that cross-faction teaming status after you're done with a TFO. Your existing team becomes cross-faction somehow.
Let's go Marcus.
Somehow.
This might be our first actual Daenerys fight. This might go very badly. So I'm glad the wheel hasn't been spun yet.
Is this the IRW Rhea?
No, that's bad
That's
only.
Rhea.
I think.
Oh, okay.
You fight one in like the starting rank, but since you're like level 5, I think NPCs scale in a way that all their abilities are available right off the bat, right? So they don't spam that whole doing high yields at you, so it's pretty easy. It seems like this one isn't scaled yet either, so I'm not sure when that kicks in.
Well, the secret to defeating a Daenerys at low level is stay more than 5 kilometers away, because its biggest killer is its tractor beam, and it's got a 5-kilometer radius.
Thanks for the follow, Hingleman.
Well, I guess just blow it up real quick. That's another valid tactic.
It didn't shoot anything at me. It's okay. It was too dead too. That's alright.
It somehow had the Star Trek Legacy AI.
Yeah, just stand there and take a beating.
That is a fun part of early leveling. You get to have those sort of dogfight moments where you like just spinning around, limited weapon arcs.
Welcome aboard.
Atriaz in the Twitch chat has correctly identified that the rapid emitting armaments was named after the RW Rhea. It was a kind of an inside joke that Spartan created.
God. I also believe, I don't know if Fun tidbit, I was told this. The description for the scimitar, the legendary scimitar, each of the first letters of the description spelled jet.
Yeah.
I believe that was one of the last ships on the project, so.
Yeah.
I'll just go back up and find some, oh, wheel spin. Hey, Thon, you gotta wait for the next mission. The mission's over, I'm sorry. No spin yet.
Instead of the Klingon Empire. Regardless,
I
am glad we can both serve the greater good of the Romulan Republic.
Oh, I'm missing a lot of questions. Turns out playing a game and doing questions is it's pretty hard. So Thon asked, when Delta Recruits ran back in 2015, which makes me feel very old, there was a cool global event mechanic. Let's say, as an addendum, it was a galactic restoration thing that happened like a year later. But people speculate it was a bunch of smoke and mirrors. Did it actually work?
Well, it was.
Oh.
It actually worked, but we had no time and really bad analytics at the time. So we couldn't really do accurate evaluation of where our targets should be. So yes, it was completely smoke and mirrors. There was a goal. We tried to err on the high side of like assuming that our player base would not meet the goals, which would allow us the opportunity to, on a regular basis, like fudge the numbers and push the goal where we needed it to go. But we missed that mark with at least one of the things, and you guys just blew through it much faster than we expected. So it actually works. The tech works. It's just we didn't really have we didn't have the time to be able to properly test and measure things, and we didn't have the proper data analytics for us to be able to judge how players would actually perform for those particular things. So the tech works. There's a tiny possibility, but it is a possibility that you could see it return at some point in the future.
I think it'd be cool, especially in more of a, like, it's Thorian trouble again. You gotta kill out 50 billion Thorians as you do the TFOs. Stuff like that kind of makes sense, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, it's like
it's a cool MMO thing too. Like the feeling that you're part of a larger community is something that STO's never done a great job of serving. And that is another thing that Thomas and I have already started some conversations internally about seeing if there are ways that we can improve upon that in the future.
It's really cool. I am looking forward to the next year and seeing how things shift and be more. It sounds like there's a lot more community focus that'll be put into the whole. Not only since it's the 60th of Star Trek in general, but 16 years of a game is kind of big. So the whole push for community outreach and etc. It sounds pretty enticing. I must say.
Yeah, I hope we can do something about it, but right now it's just conversations.
Yeah.
We'll see how it shakes out.
I guess I have a couple questions. Transcript Destiny, that sounds like a feedback question, so probably put that in the STO Discord. Oh yeah, I wanted to mention the whole idea of trading buffs from one character to another. That was actually how it worked before the revamp in like 2014. You used to be able to customize someone and just give them to other people. I think that changed probably because the whole investment you had going forward for buffs and probably wasn't as feasible anymore.
If that changed at some point, I can't honestly say if it was on purpose or not. When at launch era, bridge officers were kind of crazy, esoteric things to control and to train, and you have to like give them to other players for them to train them in some of the high rank abilities, and then hope that they were honest enough to trade them back to you after the fact.
Yeah.
There was fraud back then? Oh,
yes, there was. I remember
this.
This.
MMO? Yeah.
We used to not have a trade confirm. It used to just be like, yoink, you just take it. So like, that's also a basic feature that Fallout 76 doesn't have as a site. Big fan of it. Yeah, a lot of trading farms too.
So when we did our big bridge officer training revamp at one point, it is possible that trading buffs kind of was phased out in favor of the training manual stuff, because now you as a like a tactical captain. If you're trained in that, you can make a training manual for, I think like Torpedo Spread 3 might be one of the ones that you can make, and then just sell that on the exchange or give it to a player and they can apply it themselves. So you no longer need to trade bridge officers now that with the invention of training manuals.
Mepa system we go. We gotta find. I think this is our first tease of the Sone abducting people.
Hmm.
And also the True Way. This is the first time you see the True Way for the Romulans anyway. So.
Mm-hmm.
What is your opinion of Tovan, Kev? Boy, I know there's a lot of back and forth, and people like to delete them. Would love to delete them, but I think it was a good experiment into like giving more backstory to what would normally just be people doll 1, 2, 3, which a lot of people do for the buffs.
So Tovan Kev was an attempt to solve a problem, which was that we wanted to move to a place where more of the content in STO was voiced. But if you have bridge officers telling you certain parts of certain missions, we can't voice them. We don't have a system in place for you to be able to voice random alien number 12 or whatever. So in Tovan Kev, one of his purposes was to try and solve that problem for us, so that we could still have you accepting input from your bridge crew, or at least one member of your bridge crew, in the midst of a Star Trek mission, and not have it be unvoiced. Which is particularly a problem if you look at some older cutscenes. You can see this happen where either you or your bridge officers have lines in cutscenes, but it's like blah blah blah, voiced over line, big acting moment, silence, blah blah blah, big acting moment, and it's just so it feels like a bug, honestly, when you're playing the game and you encounter that. So I think in that aspect, I think Tovan Kev was a worthy replacement for that. But we've also kind of solved that in different ways these days, where we just don't have your bridge officers have important lines during cutscenes or voiced sections of missions.
Has there been ways? Have you thought of ways to add them back into the mix of things? I know you don't want to have those like absences of dialogue, but a good example is how you have boffs as like your DOF department heads. They just pop up every now and then and say, "Hey, you can do these assignments. I'm your first officer." This has been like
not really, because it's a very difficult maintenance footprint to maintain over the years. And we tried at one point, we expanded on this or made an attempt to expand on this by Kigren, who is a KDF officer that you get, and Elisa Flores, which is a Federation officer you get during the tutorial. And early plans for both of those buffs was for them to be those factions Tovan Kev equivalent.
Wow.
But we ended up basically ended up backtracking out of that decision because it was going to end up with too much of a maintenance footprint. Like I said, about not only all the logistics, like technically, like implementing them. Yeah, but like we would have to basically have those voice actors on retainer indefinitely. And what happens if they leave the industry, if they retire, or they, God forbid, if they die? Like, do we have a voice alike? Do we replace them throughout the whole game? Like, it becomes a really big game dev logistical problem.
I just said something, and with the title would pop up. That is a good point. I believe Eliza Flores' VA did pass away recently.
I think that is the case, yeah.
That's one of the big reasons. I think at one point you wanted to switch out the Miranda for the Reliant in the Fed tutorial. I think she says Miranda class several times, and it would have had a call, like a great deal of dialogue from her out of respect for the actions. I'm pretty sure that was decided against.
Right.
It's decidedly, legitimately so, of course.
That subject has come up a few times internally about, like, do we want to update the Federation tutorial with a different ship? That was the original plan.
Oh no,
periodically, maybe once a year or something.
Oh no.
The original plan was that, like, once a year or so, we would replce that ship in the Federation tutorial with a more modern ship. Oh no. Oh no.
I'm glad that's an emote now, the portal thing. I'm so glad, because it makes me think.
Yeah, but now we have it. We should replace it in this.
True. Oh, Wachi spotted. Oh, we can barely see him, but we know his feet.
Which mission is this called?
This is Bigger Picture. Oh, we know those feet. You can't fool me.
Looking back from a lore standpoint, this is also a big reveal, a big tease that the Solanae and the Alachi were somehow working together. Right?
Yeah. So I want to go back
for that wasn't for
way
several
back
years later.
to a simple question about Let me paraphrase it because it's way back. So TFOs and the rewards today are all like reputation based, of course. He is inquiring about the idea of drops as a vector of like usually board TFOs you get the drops and get the chance to get more powerful rewards instead. There was an attempt to bring that back with the advanced TFO, the elite TFO materials.
Advanced consoles.
Yes.
Yeah.
Has there been any more consideration of doing more drops? I know drops aren't very popular because they're not guaranteed, right? But that's kind of like a core tenet of MMO, like ARPG, pretty much any sort of looter shooter mechanic these days, right? You want that chance to get something better and not just like have it handed to you in a way.
So that was kind of a pet project of Jonathan Herlosh, including the advanced consoles. Like that was always just something that he. It ended up being a feature that we released, but it wasn't really originally part of our roadmaps or anything. It was just something that he was able to accomplish on his own, essentially. And so, with him leaving the project, the expertise and the plans and all that kind of stuff has kind of been sidelined. He had good documentation. We can go back and review it to see what we might do with the next iteration. And to be honest, the advanced consoles, I think, were a success, asterisk. They brought their own like power creep problems that we have to deal with the game moving forward. But on a whole, they did help. And the biggest way in which they helped was incentivize higher difficulty content for players that might have not been willing to take that leap into it. Now there's a better reason for them to do so. I'd like to try and find some time to get back to that. I think that's one of those other I would tie that into R&D, obviously, or honestly, as like if we were to revisit drops, I think that there's no world in which that isn't intrinsically involved with R&D and maybe re-engineering as well. I don't think that STO as a game is one where we want to incentivize you just going and killing random enemies or boss camping or anything like that to get loot drops. But crafting materials, special rare crafting materials, either as drops or rewards. What's going on with that engine?
I'm not
Galore
sure.
class
Galore is like offset, yeah. Also, thanks, Thon and Mac. I don't have any torpedoes. I lost the cannon. And I don't have singularity core abilities, so.
Do you get to turn these things back on at any point?
Yeah, no, it's only to the end of the segment, so grounded space.
Okay.
So I'm not that. No, I would have to check. I would have to check. Like, oh yeah, it's like torpedo. Voyager torpedo log.
Ramming speed left.
Maybe like a Voyager torpedo log of debuffs to go through every stream. Like, oh well, 2 days ago I had to take off my torpedoes instead. So. Thon does make a good point. Yeah, so go ahead.
I was just going to summarize. I think that we've been talking about trying to revitalize neglected systems. Loot drops, I think, are a good candidate for that general conversation overall.
Thon mentioned the idea of rep store item dropping from queues with the rep store being a pity system instead. So I assume that would mean like, oh, you can get a bunch of Omega weapons at the end of ISC instead of just having to buy them off with the lithium kind of idea.
Yeah, maybe. The reputation system in general,
think of it.
It's not meant to be a loot delivery system. It's meant to be a retention system. It's a way that we can encourage you to log in on a regular basis and make progress with daily timers and all that kind of stuff, which we've been talking about. Maybe we don't need daily timers in the modern engine, but we're talking about that internally. But like, it's not really the incentives there are. You get a reward for doing this system, but it's really the system was designed around the idea that we wanted something to encourage players to log in daily, make progress, feel like they were making progress daily, so that we could incentivize you to think about STO when you weren't in the game. It's one of those, some people call them dark patterns these days. It's a little bit of psychological trickery to improve KPIs, but it's at its core, it's a part of MMO game design. So.
Were reputations ever designed to be more extensible? I know like they are basically like mini freeholdings, right? But was there ever an idea like, oh yeah, every so often we could go back and add X or Y or Z? Of course, it never happened.
Yeah. I mean, so for the longest time, we had the standard reputation was 5 tiers with a space set and a ground set. And we kind of had a template that we were working with. And when we had a more experienced and filled out team, that was a fine template. We found over the years that we had so many other systems in the game that we had to pay attention to, and bigger goals for our content releases and things like that, that we had to cut back on our plans for reputation. So that was when we'd made the experimentation of adding tier 6 to all of the existing reputation tracks.
Right.
And that was honestly a pretty successful experiment in terms of expanding the system in a way that was a little more bite-sized, a little more scopable on the development side of things. I would not be surprised if at some point in the not-too-distant future you see us start adding individual tiers to individual reps. So instead of doing a tier 7 release for all reputations, we might announce that the Omega rep now has a tier 7. And then in the next update, or the one after that, we have Nukara and Romulus have a tier 7 added. Something more like that I think is more bite-sized, more scopable. I could see that happening in the future.
Yeah, like, that would, speaking to that idea, I think it sounds great because
Welcome
that's
aboard.
what's happening in
It's a
the
follow
narrative right now. We have new Borg, so that maybe Omega has to be updated.
That's right.
Borg.
Yeah, you could have like more Omega. The Omega has adapted.
Mega Omega.
Yeah.
Ultra Omega. Oh God, what was the
again that joke?
Optimus Prime's name? Omega something? I don't remember. But yeah, the idea of just like ITFOs came out with T6 reps, so that was like feeding off of each other pretty much, right? Like you gotta go back and do mucks and everything, and like, I think it's a great idea personally. I love ITFO and Elite's adding Elites to the mix. It's always like, oh yeah, there's all these great TFOs I like doing. I just haven't done them in ages. And with Elite, you have even smaller-ish kind of sample
Well, getting
size.
the gear requires those elite marks, which there are ways to get without doing the content, but it's more grindy.
Yeah.
We'd probably stick to that same sort of paradigm. Because the bulk of our players don't play higher difficulty modes, so we have to, expend our dev time efficiently.
Oh no, I'm cooked. Come on.
This guy's kicking your butt, huh?
Come on, Kel. Finally, I have 2 weapons. Thankfully, the Keldon didn't move like an inch. It was just like completely running away from me, so this was good. I'm hesitant to ask about the pity system for lockbox. I know I was a question in the AMA about adding it to STO. It's not really.
I will say that, just broadly, kind of indirectly answering that, I will say that lockbox structure is a subject of some internal conversation. I don't know if anything will come of it, but things like how we give away rewards, what are the odds for individual tiers of rewards, do we publish our odds, all those kind of things are some things that we've started to talk about. But honestly, with our focus this year on the 60th anniversary, I don't see a lot of progress being made in that regard. But you never know. It's something we're talking about. Lockboxes are really important to the player experience, like it or not. Like there's a huge number of rewards that are given in there and build options, and I think that modern players of STO are by and large reward driven. So when you have a reward delivery system like a lockbox, it is important to the player base. So we want to pay some attention to it. I don't know how that'll pan out, but we've been talking about it. And yeah, to answer kind of indirectly again, Muok's question in the Twitch chat about the Infinity Box, I mentioned on another interview that we're planning to clean that up in the coming year, get rid of some old prizes that people don't seem to select. The question that he had was, will those appear somewhere else? And I think I can broadly say yes. I just don't know when or where at this time. Those are still conversations that are in the process of being decided. But we don't. When you talk about rewards, it's probably not great to get rid of something entirely, unless you're. The exception to that might be if you're replacing it with something that is just objectively better than that thing. But I wouldn't, as a baseline, I would not think that anything we remove from the Infinity Box will be lost forever. We'll find some other place to put it. I just don't know when or where.
Would you be open to bringing back those like old T5 ships that were retired ages ago, just to have them like for collector's sake?
Cool. I mean, some of them.
Yeah, yeah.
Again, because if there's an objectively better option,
yeah,
then we like to replace it for a couple reasons. One is just it the old one starts to feel like well, for lack of a better term, a noob trap. Like, you know, the uninformed player might get the wrong thing, and that doesn't feel bad, or that doesn't feel good. You know, we actually see that still to this day. The tier 5 Dyson ships on the low buy store are the #1 most purchased item in the Dyson in the low buy store.
Whoa.
And I think that's because people think they are modern starships because they're presented poorly.
They all have the
so-
same name, I think. So yeah, it probably has something to do with it. They're all
Right.
just
I
named
I
differently.
really don't want it to feel like players might blame us for doing like rug pulls or purposefully misleading them or anything like that. So in any case where we can clean that kind of stuff up and avoid that sort of perception, we
freaky
really
looking
should
map.
be doing it.
It's kind of giving me some. Oh man, this is kind of whack looking.
It's like a Briar Patch Light.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, I get that science objective. Nice. Take off the turrets. Make it so.
The magnetic flux energy. We should be able to remain cloaked as we approach the station.
Thanks for coming, Ace
SFC.
Knight. Ace Net.
Yeah.
What's up?
Bye, AceNet. SFC. I kind of forgot that all the debuffs stacked.
For the duration, yeah. When I spend it twice, it's like, oh yeah, I can do more than one if the mission goes on as long. Speaking of, you can spin the wheel now if you want. For the Siphy, for Boyd, how long does it from start
Start to finish of a hero ship?
I guess would it? I don't think you treat hero ships any differently from like another any other ship you're adding, right? Like they're all.
Yeah, there's sometimes a little bit of flex here and there. One ship might take a little longer than another or less than another, but generally speaking, we talked about this on a recent
I think it's
live
Q&A.
stream on our channel.
Please don't land on
so
cloaking.
generally,
oh, it's shields.
The system side of it, so the design side of like figuring out the identity of the ship and what its powers will do and everything, that's about a 3 to 4 week process. That can grow more if the ship has more special equipment, like a special innate power or a transformation mode or a set of hanger pets that we're creating from new. But generally, it's about 3 to 4 weeks on the design side. Now, the art side of it is a little more flexible. I think if I remember correctly, it's anywhere between 6 to 12 weeks, depending on how much concepting and iteration has to go into the ship.
Oh no, ouch.
But those can happen a little bit in tandem with one another, you know, simultaneous to one another, because the art of the ship doesn't have to be done when design starts work on it. We don't have to wait and do it like sequentially.
Oh no, who's death?
This is a cool little station.
It's like a mini DS9. Oh, that's bright. Wow.
Yeah, it's definitely Cardassian inspired. Yeah.
Yeah, Subo makes a good point. There was a lot of content in regular Suamas. So at least a couple of instances I can think of was just like kind of cloned off from existing patrols and whatnot.
Well, yeah, out of necessity, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. Yeah.
The whole dev cycle for Legacy of Romulus was probably only a year, if that, from the earliest points where data first started getting modified or put into the game to when it eventually launched. We only probably had a year-ish between those conception and release, and there's a lot of content in this expansion.
Yeah,
there's a whole Romulan experience, and then there's also a whole story arc that was shared among Kadioff and Feds and ROMs.
Was it a conscious decision to go, hey, we have to do a Klingon start if we're flashing back out to Romulans? Like, the whole idea of, like, we have to have them level 1 to 50 again, not 25 to 50.
Yeah.
This just wouldn't seem right? Kind of deal.
Right.
Yeah. This was honestly for the best. You got a lot of that good Michael Dorn VO in there too, as a.
I will, a further comment on Deciphe's question, because they are commenting on the Athena specifically. From the time that the Athena was first seen, so back in January when Starfleet Academy was first launched, if we started work exactly then, then we could potentially have released it sometime around April or May or whatever. But the other side of that conversation is what other ships were we working on, what needs to be prioritized, and then of course, like when you're talking about this year in particular, we're trying to theme our releases for different existing parts of the franchise. So Thomas already mentioned this in one of his interviews, that we want to do numerous different show homages throughout the year. Starfleet Academy is new enough that that's probably going to be relegated to much later in the year or even next year, while we focus on more of the established parts of the canon during this coming year. So I don't think you're likely to see the Athena in the short term. I could be wrong about that, but it's a cool ship. I think you can pretty much guarantee that we're going to try to get into the game eventually, but I don't think it'll be in the next few months at the very least.
Probably not going to see it landing on San Francisco anytime soon either.
Well, and the Athena in particular, like there's so many transformations and separation sequences that it has that we're going to have to put extra effort into animating it if we want to do it right, because we want to do it right, and that takes extra time.
Plus,
so that
I don't want to speak for you as a dev or anything, but I imagine it doesn't make much sense to do it before the season's even out, because you're watching it at the same time as everyone else out there is watching it. So
right.
Imagine if they do something really super cool in the finale, and like, oh no, we could have done that instead, right? Like,
that's something I think that some players might not realize, is that a lot of times we don't know things about Star Trek in the IP until you guys do. Like Paramount is pretty kind to us in terms of like they try to at least tease us about stuff that might be coming, but they generally tend to focus on the things that they think are marketable and that they can use our game in some way. So like they never told us anything about the Athena, because the focus of the marketing of Starfleet Academy is very character focused. They care about the characters and the actors. So we did have a few details about. We knew ahead of time that there was going to be a Jem'Hadar Klingon hybrid character, for example. But like, what does that mean to us? How would we try to incorporate a 32nd century Jem'Hadar hybrid into our game? We couldn't figure out a good way to do anything like that, so we had to let it go.
Kind of only ties into the whole Victory's Life storyline to begin with, the whole idea of Fleet Jem'Hadar being more open and everything because of Odo.
Right.
But
it probably takes hundreds or thousands of years before they figure out the genetics to even have female Jem'Hadar. Yeah.
Get back to questions. That was much easier than I thought it'd be.
Station is further proof that the Romulan Republic is nothing more than a terrorist cabal.
That's upcoming
the legitimate Romulan government and alerted them to your presence.
So I've seen a couple questions already about balance, and so Boywood's brought up a good question. It's not really a shock or surprise to say the new thing's gotta be somewhat good, right? So he brings up the Elite Force sniper rifle from the Heritage bundle being a very, very good sniper, probably one of the best in the game. I guess when you're making new things and evaluating it against other things, how do you use the data from that to like inform, like, oh yes, so you have to make this thing this as good or almost as good as this other thing? I think a good example right now would be the hexacannons. I'm not to bring up the controversy, but that is a great example of these things are good. How good can other things be before it just kind of wipes out the competition, right?
Yeah. Well, it is safe to say that as the game ages, new things are going to be better than old things in general. But the reason for that isn't because we're trying to push numbers or in terms of like combat performance. We're not trying to make players more performance in combat. It is rewards driven. It is motivation driven. What's going to get you to buy a bundle or grind for this thing or whatever? Well, it's got to be in some way better and or unique compared to things you could already get. And sometimes we just rely on visuals for that. If a new weapon has a cool skin that showed up in the show, or looks especially flashy, like the arc thrower. The arc thrower looks incredible, but honestly, it's not all that. It's not a huge performance over other options that you can get. You can get better performing weapons, unless you're spec'd into electricity. Anyway, sorry, tangent. But like, yeah, people love canon, like screen reference geos, and that can sometimes be enough to carry something on its own. But also, I was
just going to mention that, like, have you just made something like I guess the Dick Tog from the Eastern Legendary bundle? It's like everyone wanted that sword. Sorry, knife. That's not a sword. I'm sure it is a sword in turn. Anyway, people wanted that weapon for use. So honestly, you could have just like put it on a normal sword frame, as it's called a day. But it has that cool execute function where you just go up to someone if they're like under a certain amount of health and just kill them. It's just stuff like that. It's like, oh, it's cool to have these things in the game, but it's also cool to have like little incentive to use it, sort of thing, right?
Right. So that's kind of where the power creep starts coming in, though, is that we need to make sure that anything new that we release has some sort of intrinsic motivation for players to want to seek it out for some reason. And again, sometimes visuals are all that we need in that regard. Sometimes it's just a mechanical difference, like, oh, we'd never had flame cannons before now, so now the Rain of Fire winter weapon is desirable for that. Sometimes that's enough. A lot of times it isn't, and we want to make sure that players can feel as though they're making some progress, even if it's just microscopic progress, by obtaining something new. Because we really want to motivate players, and we know that rewards are a great source of motivation for our players. We've proven that time and time again with our player base. So in regards to something like the Elite Force sniper rifle, I think that part of Boulevard's question is like, well, this is a good sniper rifle. Why don't you go back and just make all other sniper rifles that good? The short answer is that kind of defeats the purpose, right? If all sniper rifles were as good as a new one that we release, then the new one doesn't have that unique draw to it, and we'd have to redesign it. So I don't know. We're probably not terribly likely to go back and redesign fundamental like template-based designs that exist in the game. But I don't know. It also kind of, that conversation does in some ways go hand in hand with the revitalizing old systems conversation to some extent. So maybe, but in general, when we talk about itemization of the game, we tend to have a much more forward-facing attitude about it all. What can we do next instead of what have we done before? Not that we ignore what we have done before, but that's where our focus is.
All right. There's a VO for Trevor there.
Are you still talking to Charba? She betrayed you.
I don't know. It's for Tovan. It's all about his sister. It's all can of worms. He wants to find his sister, and I guess there were exits at some point. It's like when you get that. You're like third wheeling between them pretty much in this entire story. Like.
Mm-hmm. Not Chara. Charva.
Not Chara, no. Chara is just a resident Iconian. The Iconians have never betrayed us, so I want you to know that they'll always have our back.
Yeah. They're totally helping us with the current crisis, and
the collaboration is fruitful, as they would say. Someone would say. I'm not sure if Bort can answer that about how. Well, yes, I could ask you, have you been invited to any secret hideout events and asked about story questions to CBS, etc. since taking over?
I've never been privy to those kinds of licensing conversations. I only recently got added to the meeting invite for Paramount reviews, and I haven't been able to make it to any of them yet. So
how hands-on are they these days, I guess would be a better question. Like, would you say, I guess the last episode, right?
There was an uptick in their hands-onness when the DECA transition happened, because they wanted just to make sure that under new management that their IP was still being treated well. But I think we're transitioning back to the point where they're a little more hands-off, where they trust us to be running things. And Thomas, I think, is a huge factor in that. Also, the transition back to ARC. You know, they already have had a working relationship with ARC for years and years and years at this point. So they've never really been meddlers. What they care most about is artistic portrayal of the IP in our game. So things like how lower deck ships look. That was a big topic of some consternation when we were trying to get those ships in the game, because they wanted to be true to the art style of the show. And so they tend to care about things that aren't the same things that we tend to care about, to be perfectly honest. So, but in general, they're not meddlers. We make them a good amount of money through our licensing agreements, so they don't want to break up a good thing by getting too involved, I think. But I want to caveat all that by saying, again, I've never been in the room with any of those meetings, so this is just my assumptions kind of secondhand. In terms of the past story involvement with Secret Hideout, I think was the production company that was doing Discovery, and they reached out independently. There are a few times where independent other licensors will reach out to us for involvement, like IDW is a good example. Sometimes those connections are made through Paramount, but very frequently it's just somebody at that production company reaches out to us for some direct collaboration or information sharing. That's more frequently the way that it goes down.
Why is Pete again or no 100 bits? Wow, bits this stream, thank you. How difficult would it be to deal with the fact that most new canon? I mean, I can answer that. I mean, a lot of the items in this game are from every alien in the game, right? Like, it doesn't really make. It doesn't mean to. I hate to say it doesn't need to make sense, but it kind of doesn't, right? Like, yeah, you can fly the Athena.
Right.
But does it? Do you need to have an explanation for that?
We have a bunch of 32nd century
Yeah.
ships already in the game that we
Yeah.
just kind of hand-waved.
Yeah.
We don't give an explanation of how they made it to this era.
When we're playing a theme park game like this, I'm probably gonna die here. Do you feel like it's necessary to explain that away, or is it just kind of like a necessity of the setting? Like people want X, Y, Z.
It is more important for us to be able to get the thing in the game than it is to explain it.
Yeah.
If we can explain it, then that's cool. But if trying to find an explanation would prevent us from putting it in the game, then we're not going to give an explanation.
Also, may I add,
oh no!
Lower decks is the explanation why the games, the game has all the chips from all the timelines.
Yeah, the Starbase 80.
Yeah. That's a good point. I never
reality
thought of that.
fracture.
Finale of Lower Decks is the reason why all the Star Trek shows exist. So maybe you watched the last 3 episodes of Lower Decks, and
That's a great way to look at
We'll
it.
have-
Lower Decks is responsible for everything, and he's way with that.
So here's a little bit behind the scenes spoilers. We originally wanted to use Starbase 80 instead of the Midas Array as the big location for these last 2 episodes, but unfortunately I think CBS Paramount still has some plans for Starbase 80 in the canon, so we were not given clearance to use it. So we had to change tack a little bit. But yeah, I agree. Starbase 80 is a great excuse to have multiversal whatever you want going on, right? And we're in the middle of a multiversal war, so we were hoping we could use it. But not at this
that's
time.
how the people in love with Star Trek who were writing for Lower Decks basically wrote the letter to all the people who would send in letters about how this doesn't fit my own head canon of the show. It's a living, growing thing. You could say franchise, but story, way of life for some people, and Lower Decks' ending is a great rebuttal to just
or an excuse,
loving the franchise.
right? And I think Thomas has gone on record of saying canon is whatever you want it to be. Maybe it was Kale, but it's broadly true.
I think of the Gecko thing as well too. Yeah.
Yeah, like STO is obviously not 100% true to the shows, but we have tried and endeavored our best to stick as closely to it as we can, both for the excuse to be able to use the show stuff, but also just to make it feel so that we can deliver the fantasy that you're living in the Star Trek canon that you want to live in, as much as we can.
Oh, it's tough. This is tough, games. When you want a new account, no demo perks, elite. Oof.
Muwaka and Paramount. I don't know if Paramount prevented Wesley, but yeah, Crusher, because she was an active character on the Picard series at that time. Generally speaking, they have had a pretty hard line of preventing us from using any characters that are currently appearing in a show or have very recently appeared in a show in case they renew that show. Just so that there's no cross-plot confusion or stepping on it or anything. Also for scheduling.
I was at GalaxyCon the other month, and there was a TNG panel, and we had Gates McFadden, Donna Flakes, and Brent Spiner. He actually mentioned STO by name. He called it the Mirror Universe game, which was kind of endearing. But she was like, I had a great time. And she was like, oh, Will and I had a great time at Mirror Universe game. It's really nice.
I'm really glad that Will Wheaton had a great time, because we had contacted him many years ago to come and reprise his role, and he was so adamantly against it at the time.
He must have known at some point, because he was doing Prodigy, and then I guess Picard at the same time. It's like, yeah, why not, kind of thing.
I think he came around over the years. In his early nerd stardom, there was like, people would come up to him and say, "Shut up, Wesley," and he would get really upset about it. And I think being identified as that character, as his only claim to fame, rubbed him wrong in his early, when he started regaining some level of fame after TNG. But then I think he began to embrace it in his own way over the years. So anyway, I'm glad that he came around. I'm glad that we were able to get him. I think that the Emperor Crusher arc is one of my favorites, just in terms of storytelling.
I'm personally, people find it very controversial that you just don't I hate using the word. Just don't off him at the end. And just let him go away with the others. And for me, it's kind of like, what kind of Star Trek are you kind of watching or playing? To have, you just want to murder all your opponents, just wipe your hands of the situation entirely.
We've gotten some guff over the years, right? About like everybody gets redeemed in STO. Everybody has a redemption arc except Sela, I guess. But even
well, she's
she
in
does.
jail. I guess that's kind of a redemption arc. She's not causing any problems anymore.
But if you think about it, that's kind of like that's the spirit of STO, of Star Trek, of Starfleet. We don't go around just killing our enemies unless it is an absolute last resort. Even Khan, after the TOS episode where he appeared, he was just marooned. He wasn't destroyed.
Yeah.
He was later killed in the movies, but again, that was a last resort.
It was a failing on Kirk that he never came back. It's not his fault that...
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably his fault he stole a weapon of mass destruction. But that was like a consequence of his abandonment, etc. I think Thon makes a good point, a fun note that when you revealed Will, the event was named Emperor's Will, and that was really funny. One of my favorite episodes of the game, honestly, is Survivor, which is the last like modern appearance of RSCO, and she's like, "Oh, I found out what happened to my mother. I can rest easy now. Yeah, take me to jail. I don't really care what happens anymore." And that was a really good finale for that character, just to say, yeah, he kind of does atone for her sins. I mean, it's kind of hard to atone for not too many spoilers for what she's done, but just have.
Yeah, but then we brought back Tasha as the Borg Queen in the alternate universe.
Hey, it's alternate universe. You can get one alien, anything in the alternate universe, right? Anyway, Kim could be the Boy King, and anything could happen.
Yeah.
Just finding out about Tasha, that was so sad.
It's one of my favorite episodes, Survivor, because it's just that element of exploration. It's like you see everything happen before you got there, and the temple.
Survivor is an episode that went through. First of all, from the time that it was originally pitched and written was probably a year and a half or so before it actually finally got.
Yeah,
released.
I think Denise Causey said something about it, like right after midnight.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't know.
Maybe even
episode,
as much as
like that,
2 years. Like it's been, and part of that was because
console.
it is such a story-heavy. It's essentially like a mini novel, right? Like you could just read this story and be just as engaged with it. So figuring out how to make it, attach some gameplay to it to keep gamers interested in reading the story was always a constant struggle.
It was like Axiom felt in many regards similar to it. You have the big beats.
Was.
Like,
and Axiom had the same struggle internally. It was like, if you ever ask Flo about it, she'll probably kindly berate me for the fact that I was constantly saying, put more enemies in here. We have to fight something. So like the invention of the security system as kind of a preview to the actual Ethereans that you would fight later in Axiom. Like we had to do that because there needed to be some action. There needed to be something that you were doing between reading mini novels or little episodic scripts. And it's a struggle of video games, especially story-driven video games, that you have to constantly strike that balance. Especially STO, most of our engaged players, veteran players at this point, one of their biggest pastimes in the game is build tweaking.
Yeah.
Building out their characters, figuring out what rewards and things they want to grind for and equip their characters with. And if you don't give them combat to use that in a story mission, then you're failing to serve the purpose of all of that activity that they're going through. And we want to make sure that build activity is something that gets rewarded through gameplay.
I forgot about this part. You're hopping between each of the freighters during this mission. Kind of like the last episode, Best Laid Plans.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's kind of fun.
And this is when you remember that as a Delta recruit, you might miss the Delta objective.
It shows up late. I remember now. Yeah. Someone mentioned Starbase 80 and sent me this link. Anything good? Go back like 15, 20 minutes when we talk about Starbase 80 in the stream, in the VOD. And yes. Oh, someone can send. Say it in the
There
chat.
is a alternate universe where all this is happening at Starbase 80 instead of the Midas threat.
Star Trek Online is only in some instance dialogue branch in Starbase 80. Oh, sweet.
To clarify, we didn't have to use the Midas Array. That was just our backup plan that we liked. And part of the reason for that was we actually had I probably shouldn't be saying this. We had thought about bringing back Barkley, who at one point in the past worked at the Midas Array. because we were just throwing around ideas for what celebrity we could have rejoin us for this arc. So that was discussed at some point, but yeah, we went a different way. We brought back Dax
7.
instead.
Oh, for this
7
episode.
and Dax, yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
I just want to say thank you for going a different way.
Yeah, I know the actor for Barkley can be he's unsavory. I would say
that was we'll not go into it, but that was part of the
yeah,
conversation and why we turned away.
I do appreciate that. I know a lot of us in the community would appreciate that. So.
But Barkley is such a cool character. It's a real shame.
Yeah. It's going up. I saw a comment saying that whenever it like ends with the whole "we saved the day," everyone's. Well, I mean, I wouldn't say so. You killed Jim Pog. You don't redeem him at all. He's dead. You chop his hand off, and
he's an idiot.
Yeah.
Jim Pog deserves what he got.
But I think I don't know if I would say that's. I'm sure you can't just end this arc in the same way. I'm not to spoil or anything, but you can't just say, "Hey, Athenians."
I think the biggest point where we got, negative feedback, got some guff over redemption was when we redeemed Jula.
Yeah, I would say
as part of that arc. That was the biggest example of somebody that I think a player base as a whole in general didn't agree with the idea that she could be redeemed.
I think it was enough build up as opposed to build up being very evil, very bad, and doing so much other this and that.
Yeah.
This is probably what happened there.
Honestly, there was a bit of retconning that went into that when she was first introduced as part of the Discovery tutorial. She was meant to be a bad guy. And then we ended up kind of changing the storytelling later on that it turned out to be her first in command. Akar was actually the bad guy.
Can you complain about that when you can get Robert O'Reilly to be your big bad for so long?
Right. That's a good point.
It's kind of it kind of makes sense, but yeah.
Yeah. So I mean I think that any player feedback is justified feedback if you just remember that it all comes from the same place of wanting STO to be the best game that it can be. You might not agree with all of it, but it all comes from a good place. That can be difficult to remember sometimes as a dev, but I try to remind myself as much as I can.
So I suppose a good question would be, what was your favorite episode that you may or may not have been involved in, or like, like from start to finish, like Survivor, that took a while, but it paid off was really good. Conversely, I guess.
So I have so much bias from being a developer that a lot of what is tied up in my favorite stuff is stuff that was fun to build or challenging to build. It wasn't necessarily the best. So I don't think that I have a list of what is actually the best, but one episode that stands out to me as one of my favorites to have been involved with was what was it called? Renegade.
The one where Renegade yes, the first Equator, I guess, test, right?
The first, yeah.
I think it might have been the second because they had that whole the competitive queue where you become the boy drone. I think
those came out right around the same time, or at least we were working on them in tandem, or close to. So yeah, that stands out to me as one of my favorite episodes. I think it also has a lot of really ham-fisted at time, but really important storytelling that it includes, and the whole idea of like seeing the other side of that conflict was really important. So that the Zinkethi weren't just this one-dimensional bad guy monolith. It showed you that they were people.
That's a good comparison, I would say, Jewel, as opposed to like Nef Pi, right? When you get to see you questioning orders and going, "Hey, is this right?
Yeah.
Am I supposed to be killing these pre-warp civilizations?" sort of thing, and then you have like Jewel kind of conveniently slipping into that role.
I also really liked how Renegade played into Echoes of Light, the previous episode.
Yes, you get to see what happened before you got there.
Yeah.
It's like the inverse of Survival almost. Like, oh, you get to discover what happens. You already know what happens, so it's like, oh no, we get the causes. Oof. I can't see anything down here, by the way. It's, oh man.
But just tab.
Yes.
Tab and hope. Yeah, so let me think. There's probably another episode or two that I could think of that stand out like that.
Oh god, it's like it's hot. Ouch.
Some of the big space battles that we've done over the years have been really challenging from a balance and gameplay standpoint. Things like the finale of, well, it wasn't the finale, but oh man, I forget the story the mission's name, but it was when the Zenkethi space station comes to Bajor. And you have to do
Scylla
that.
and Charybdis, I think.
Yeah, that's it, Scylla and Charybdis.
Which is what you use for the tutorial for not the tutorial for the intro. You see that little side of that.
Yeah. That was just a really challenging episode to make that action, that gameplay work for us. And I think that in the end it came off serving the story in such a good and important way that it really stands out as kind of... That's the thing for me, is I don't think that I could name any favorites for episodes in STO, but there are some that just stand out as like pillars of when I think back on the gameplay, this is one that I remember, and this is one that I remember enjoying playing, or it was important to the story for some reason. Midnight is an obvious choice also on that list. Yeah.
That Hook finale is interesting because I'm pretty sure the Hook group themselves for Victory's Wife, they probably weren't even like finished yet. It was just the intended the ground ones and the space drones. That was it. So to make those feel interesting before even having a whole group like fleshed out completely with the bigger units, the dreadnoughts, the extra.
Yep. It was quite a reveal, and again, I think that they're just important to think about as part of the overall story. There's also a few lesser known or lesser loved episodes that I think stand out as like examples of the kind of things that we can accomplish when we really put our mind to it. What Lies Beneath is another, like, it's an important mission. I don't think that it has aged all that well, to be perfectly honest, but it shows that even within the confines of this somewhat aged, some might say archaic engine, you can still do thriller type gameplay. You can scare your players in certain ways, or at least give them a sense of unease.
That's like eerie and also like, oh yeah, I can see what could something like this to happen. And it's not doesn't feel contrived to have a sort of slasher. Oh no, they're gonna get me sort of gameplay, and then starts like setting.
And honestly, I think that there's a little bit of inspiration from What Lies Beneath in the upcoming episode. Spoilers.
I was gonna ask that actually, like the whole idea of going to a station that's completely infested and crawling with whatever these chimeras.
But we're not going to talk about the updates.
Oh no, you're true. No, I just punished myself for my hubris.
Quick question from Irish Hawk in the Twitch chat. I see. Are you still in contact with your old co-host? Unfortunately, no. We've lost touch, and I'm relatively certain he doesn't play STO anymore. But he's still a successful podcaster. Jupiter Broadcasting still exists, and he still makes shows, mostly about like Linux and other tech news stuff.
Oh, that's good to know. That's
actually, you know, Linux is starting to see a little bit of a renaissance these days because of some of the shenanigans that Microsoft has been pulling. So maybe check out Jupiter Broadcasting if you want to get into Linux. There might be some good tutorials.
Yeah, someone else earlier asked, should I use the term stoked for the stream? And I'm like, no, it's just a wiki. It's not stoked. You can't revive a brand if you don't have a brand. I'm just a wiki.
I don't own it anyway.
Yeah.
That's all Chris.
I would have used the captain's table, but I gave it to Ma and her little podcast over there, which you should probably check out. Ma makes content as her channel. Good ally of the wiki.
My favorite pain in the ass, I'm sorry, it's Casual SAB. Because he's constantly telling me about this is broken, that is broken.
Oh, I don't
correct,
know about his pronunciation.
It doesn't make my job easier. I think it's fun that he pronounces things incorrectly.
The Sagan kills me from the bottom of my heart. As someone who grew up on Cosmos and his supposed Sagan's beautiful view of the universe.
No, it's Carl Sagan. You didn't know that?
Alright, so let's do another coupon giveaway since we are coming up on our last episode of the evening. I do want to say thanks again, Boyd, for coming. We might do another one of these in a couple of weeks once anniversary is well underway.
Yeah, I've enjoyed my time here. I like just being able to like casually chat about this stuff.
Yeah. Be very chill, casual SAB about it, you know.
Yay.
I do want to shout out the DPS League who did give me a bunch of awards to give out for the stream, just as the keys and such. So a lot of community support going our way. We do appreciate it, all of it. Thanks again.
And you, as a community, can show your support in return by heading over to the Ko-Fi link right now in the Twitch chat.
True. What are we at right now? Where are we at? 30-something%? Yeah, 31, 32, I think. That's pretty damn good. Thanks again. Alright, let's get the T6 coupon. Not the Keith. Keith is gone. Alright, let's do it. I'll switch it to 30 minutes. Because I don't think the next episode's gonna last 30 minutes, so 1 hour.
How are you gonna spend your winnings?
I know 100 bits from YS Pete. MVP of the stream has been YS Pete. For someone running winnings, thanks for the Penguins shout out. For everyone here who may be interested in trying it, STO Proton runs it like a charm. Never had any issues. Obligatory thanks to the devs for not adding anti-cheat that would break on Linux all the time. There is actually a good wiki guide for both Mac and Linux. STO, let me link it.
Yeah, we've seen. It's been a while, but we had a post at some point last year of somebody successfly getting it to run on their Steam Deck.
Yeah, I've seen that a lot too. It's pretty incredible.
It's not a good experience. Let me just put that out there. Like, just because it can run doesn't mean it's actually playable.
Oh, so another story recap. Chaiva's misdeeds are coming to a close as we're about to ensnare in a trap. As all of her intel so far has been bad. And I don't know why it took us 4 missions to finally say, hey, enough is enough, but it's all because of Tovan. God damn it.
But will she get a redemption arc?
Well, I think she just disappears in a jail cell, so
A redemption penal colony arc.
Oh god, what even is the Romulan Republic's penal colony? Did you throw them all in a vault? Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? I don't know.
They might just
if
rely
this
on...
was further along in the arc, they might have do Facility 4028, but I don't think we're there yet.
They might rely on the Fed.
Oh my gosh. We might be able to get a new ship. Oh, we are. Let's go. Okay, we can do that real quick. And if Thomas here, he told me to name all my ships after Kellett, so unfortunately I have to respect that. There's like 12, so
DJ.
You know what? Yes, that should be DJ Kellett.
I'm sorry,
yes.
Thod.
That's Khaled, not Khaled.
I guess it's the Mo guy now, right? Isn't it? Yay! I love that ship. Love the system nemesis.
I mean, technically, you could just get a tier 6 ship and not have to worry about this as you level up.
That's true, but I'm waiting for the coupon, and I might leave it to the viewers to subject me to what ship that I should use. Because I've given away so much of myself to the wheel. But someone should spin the wheel for next episode. I think it's mostly space. So I'll spend... Just keep stacking your space ones and we'll use it on the space.
No, we can put all the ship names into a massive wheel.
Every Romulan ship page? Well, actually, it is an upcoming change to the wiki I can announce. I've been working on the big table of ships. It's not pretty, and I've collapsed a lot of it into 2 columns per like ship type. A lot of people do use that ship page. I personally use the one that has all the ships organized by release date. But a lot of people use that playable ship page, so that will get a revamp.
Thank you so much for the release dates, by the way. We found that to be super useful with the new guys coming up to speed on design, because they're able to sort by, like, you know, when choosing ships to compare things to and build out a new ship. It's important to understand when they were released, because design principles have changed over the years. So even though something that might have been released in 2016 looks like a great comparison, it's 10 years old. You really shouldn't be using it as something to base your modern designs on. So that's been really helpful for us.
That was peak COVID when I saw a page that was like listing every release of every expansion and season that wasn't updated since like 2017. It conveniently had a bunch of ship release dates on it. I was like, hey, that should be a field on the ship pages, and it took like 2 weeks to find all of them and put them on pages.
Round of applause for this, man.
It's like Shoegazer said about insomnia. Not quite, but it was also COVID. It was COVID, so like, what else can you do, right? Like, jeez. Okay, so we got the. Oh, we can use attack pattern beta now. Let's go. Alright.
So Atria's asked, can you talk a little bit about how ship design has changed over time? I'm gonna say briefly, no, because it's an enormous conversation.
We
I
are
don't
having
think I want to take
Mayo
up
in
that
a
much
couple
space.
weeks, so we can ask him soon too.
Yeah, you might be able to talk at least a little bit about modern design principles and things like that. He doesn't have as much historical context for how things used to be, but he's picked up a lot of that by necessity when learning how to design for the modern game. The truth is that there's so many different facets to it that I don't think that any brief conversation would do it justice.
What playable species is your favorite, Borticus? I know your main
Alien.
is like a alien. Yeah, I was gonna say it's gonna be
Yeah.
alien, isn't it?
I think character customization is one of the things that Cryptic Engine is always, for all of its games, it feels like a linchpin, a cornerstone of Cryptic Engine games, and the Alien Gen is the best example of that. So I love it.
Sets
I
it
love.
quite completely. Like, can you think of a game where Monster Factory can come in and we just do like 2
Right.
episodes about some weird Star
And
Wars?
make us look so embarrassing, but I love it anyway.
That was the old Fed tutorial even before the revamp, so it was
Yeah.
very, very crusty.
Yep. If I wasn't able to choose Alien Gen, then I would probably go with.
Don't say human, please.
No, I was. If we had it, Android would be my favorite because Data is hands down my favorite Star Trek character of all time. Or Photonic, because the Doctor is a close runner-up in that. But we don't have any of those as player species, so I'd probably have to go with Liberated Borg as the next closest sort of tie-in. Yeah.
All right.
There's some weight to join Trill in my head as well because of Dax. I love Dax as a character as well from DS9. So, but I think I'd probably end up as Liberated Borg.
Right, we could do
if I couldn't be Alien.
Let's customize the ship a bit. Dax is awesome, and we all know it. Yes, we do. We do that. Yeah, it was
If you love
Yoga
Dax,
Skywalker.
you owe it to yourself to watch Starfleet Academy if you haven't already.
Frosten and jump breaking all your maps. Oh yeah, on the ground at the hide and jump. Casey's right too.
Cation and Frosten jump height was a mistake.
Alright, I was gonna use the Riemann material, but I love the brown Valdor. It's just too much. Just did not do that. Let's put some purple motifs on there though. That's a bit more pink than purple, that's right. Oops. There we go. Okay, not very Riemann, but that's fine.
Purple means that you stand Iconia.
True.
Yes, that is correct. Moak has asked if the Ferocins were meant to be a stand-in for the Kazenti. Yeah, that is correct. Kazenti are tied up in Larry Niven, I think, has art rights to them. And it was just not worth our time to try and pursue that.
Yeah, so, CBS can get away with it because those writers are also interconnected that someone can get so like, hey, can I use Kazenti as a term in whatever Picard episode? You can put it in, and he's like, yeah. The game can't do that, of course. And plus, the Ferocins have so much distinct glory comparison, and still at least that just renaming them. I don't think that makes any sense anymore. There's a whole big Doff chain about how they're like genetic
Acacia diaspora.
Yeah.
Yep. That was, I think, entirely Jeff Tuffley that came up with all of that, by the way. Yeah.
Which is, of course, if people wondered who Tuffley the freighter is named after, it's him. It was like his parting gift, I think, from Cryptic. I think the whole.
It was kind of an homage because it was originally in a DOF pack, and I think it was coming out just shortly after he had decided to leave the company. So it was, we just decided to name it after him. Needed a name, and
it's better than generic freighter from DS9 that appeared 2 times class or something like that. I don't know. Like, Surboliver did write some of the lore for the Swithus. Yeah, the patterns for the ship were named after the clans that were in his Foundry series, I believe.
Hmm.
They were in
Cool.
Lower Decks as well.
I didn't know that.
Huh. Thomas did it, I think. Yeah.
Have you looked at those files yet?
I love little things like that where non-writers on the team have managed to do some creative writing that makes it into the hands of our players and that they actually enjoy. Like I mentioned earlier about all the writing I did for the Admiralty campaigns, but yeah, things that Thomas has written or Jeff or whoever. It's such a great thing for a game designer, a little feather in your cap to be able to point to this story and say, I wrote that, I did that, without being a writer.
It's showing off the painting you get from Viewnaut and Memory Lane, which is, I'm pretty sure it's a piece of concept art for the zone itself. It's kind of neat. It's a bit bigger than the painting you pick up from him, but it's alright. There's the other painting you get as well. And of course you get his helmet, which I think only males can wear that helmet, unfortunately. So Captain Reeman here won't be able to use that, but
Muwak asked, do I know anything about the process that got the STO KDF ships into Starfleet Academy? I'd say ask Thomas next time he's on a stream. I have some secondhand knowledge, but he has much more intimate familiarity with what went on there. So I'd say ask that question of him.
Ready room deciphering, my favorite part.
Honestly, these little parts of these missions are such an absolute pain in the ass.
I imagine it's just a massive tree of interconnective dialogue trees.
There's like 40 different bridges
Yeah.
in the game and interiors, and we have to make sure that these things work with all of those, and they have to be set up manually. There's not some sort of template that they point towards dynamically. It's such a pain.
I have to wonder if half of this is even on the wiki. This is how I look at content when I play it. Like, oh, can I catalog this or that? Or, okay, I do. Yeah, go see it as settlement. If you're entitled to Tal Shiar settlement, come on now.
It's my money and I want it now.
He wanted. It was water. He wanted water. He wanted supplies. Yeah. I think it was. No, that's not it. It was aid. There you go. Fear not. No, we weren't making biological weapons. I know that for sure. It was water reclamation.
There's another small window into one of the complexities of trying to make new bridges or interiors. We have to go through and find every little thing like this and then clone it off to make sure it works on any new interior that we make. And there's a whole handful of these. So, yep.
No Pada system. That's a call forward to the Colosseum. Wow. Nope. It's installation 18. That's right. So that's Opus Deck, I think. No. Avron, yes.
Ooh, Irish Hawk, that's another great mission that I think stands as one of those pillars that I was talking about, Quark's Lucky 7. A great example of like another technical achievement that was fun to do, great storytelling. That's definitely a high point in STO's history. Good call out.
I'm not completely comfortable disregarding her information out of hand.
But I will also say that even that stellar mission gave us a good amount of negative feedback because you play the entire mission as not yourself. And that's one of those examples of like, we need to make sure that our players, on all the effort that they put into obtaining rewards and new gear sets and great builds and everything, gets rewarded in some way. Yet in Quark's Lucky 7, you play the entire episode as not yourself, except I think the final act. And so even though it's a great, incredible episode and an outstanding technical achievement, an outstanding writing achievement, not everybody loves it.
Thon, my co-owner who wants to ask, a few years ago, the Cryptic, I guess, by proxy, massively restricted what non-aligned characters, like the TOS Starfleet and Discovery Starfleet and Unaligned Romulans can do. Can you, I guess, was there some sort of thing that led to those factions, half factions, being locked down so heavily? Because before
Not
that,
choosing. Basically, it comes down to not choosing a primary allegiance.
Mm.
So under the hood, there's a difference between a sub allegiance and a primary allegiance, and there are only two primary allegiances: Starfleet or KDF. And every other allegiance in the game that players can play as is called a sub-allegiance, and it's meant to be layered with a primary allegiance. At any point in the game where you do not have a primary allegiance, shit goes wrong. There are opportunities for data to break. There's opportunities for mission logic to fail. There are so many assumptions made at so many layers of so many different pieces of content all throughout the game that if you don't have a primary allegiance, the chances of you encountering a game-breaking bug are much higher. So, and we were seeing this through the form of customer service reports, or just reports on their forums or whatever. And every time they would filter to us that this player was purposefully playing without a primary allegiance for some crazy, insane reason of their own. Listen, we want to encourage you guys to play the game however you want to play the game. It's been released to some extent. It's your game, not ours. But there are areas where we need to rein that in and make sure that things aren't broken. That even if you're playing as a non-standard experience, that you can still play the game to its ending. So that was the main motivation behind going through and restricting all of that. We really wanted to make sure that players were playing the game in a way that wasn't going to break their experience. So we restricted a lot more of that stuff, that what could be accomplished without a primary allegiance, in order to encourage you, almost force you, to go and get that primary allegiance set.
Stu, I've seen that Jupiter class there constantly. They must idle at Drazana. It was named It's Probin Time. I don't think I've not seen him there.
Wow.
During a Phoenix event. So.
And Lortrix was storing weapons for Datan? Why?
Is that the Drozana party ship for that radio show?
Oh boy, I don't know. Are there many radio shows here? I don't see one happening right now.
There's a radio show dance party every week on Drozana.
I'm detecting that sections of the file have been altered. That's probably why it reads like a bad.
I don't know what the problem is. He's just very scientifically minded. Likes to go out and send out sensor probes.
Ah, yeah. There's a science carrier. You gotta use that often.
Yeah.
Datan was in contact with Starfleet, but he was talking to them about which colonies.
The game needs Fez. There is a Fez. It's that TOS one.
As you well know.
Is it Ithanite? Yeah. Was it Zambian? I can't remember now. The Zambian's the Snuggie, isn't it? The hoodie. Yeah. Ithanite. That's the Ithanite is the brand of the channel. It's the Ithanite and the Voth White Soldier outfit in all pink. It was just something I did on a whim one day, and people were like, "Yeah, that's my hero."
Is that a fashion win or a fashion fail? You be the judge.
We are the fashion. The STO Wiki Fed fleet is named the Fashion Advice Bureau. So,
whatever it is, it's become a brand.
Oh, someone won a double.
It was to discern which ones had the greatest need for agricultural assistance.
Yeah, we at the Fashion Advice Bureau have fashion arguments. A certain shoegazer lost this argument to make the rainbow uniform the default uniform of the entire fleet.
That's too expensive. Yeah, think of the
I was just fucking.
Oh, well, I guess I can't. Okay, maybe.
Just right in front of the chat.
Maybe you're right. If I'm not funding it, it's all good, right? That's how it works, right? Yeah.
So Muwak has asked, many years ago, a dev said that every guest star that comes in does a level up voice recording in the booth. Is it still the case, and how possible would it be for us to select? Okay, so those are two very different questions. The first part, I don't think it's very common these days, but I think that if we ever had somebody that could potentially be a primary allegiance contact, then we would almost definitely have them record something like that. For example, like if crazy idea, but I don't think it'll happen. But if we ever got Jonathan Frakes in the recording booth, then we almost definitely would have him record something like that. But I don't think we have recordings of Jerry Ryan or Jonathan DeLarco, who are recent guest artists. I don't think they did any of that sort of recording. But anyway, trying to choose that sort of stuff, I will broadly say that more customization options along those lines are conversations that we're having right now. I don't know if that particular one is a feature that we might be able to ever achieve, but there's also other ideas like customizing your beam up animations or your warp out animations, things like that. We want to start looking into that because customizing your character is a very important part of any MMO, and it also gives us new options for like exclusive unlocks or things we can add to lockboxes or low buy store or achievements or whatever we want to do with that. So we started talking about some of that. So maybe in the future.
None of us are. The political information could be used to sway decisions.
There's a lot of good dialogue here. I'm gonna try not to linger on it too much, but it's I believe all of this was originally not voiced, and it was voiced a couple years back, maybe before COVID, to give it all like proper voiceover and everything. It's really nice, especially if you want to know more about the post. Like, well, that's not post Picard ramen they asked for, but at least the STO version of it.
I didn't realize
And you can just use your
Tal
headcanon
Shiar
to
transferred
cut away at what
prisoners to the
Picard
King
invalidated
system
or
penal colony.
changed.
Probably because there isn't a penal colony in the Kinkuthanza system. That's not the only
Kinkuthanza
discrepancy
system
I'm
is
detecting
quite the
in this
name.
file. There's distinct signs of tampering. We need to figure
Say
out
that
what
10
they
times
altered
fast.
and why.
Most of the systems in STO, I believe, are pulled from like NASA star charts, and if they're not, then they're pulled from like
These shows.
alpha and beta canon.
Or what's being done to we don't know what the Tal
The
Shiar is doing with their
Kinkuthanza
prisoners,
system
but a lot more people are
penal
missing than
colony
we can
is
account for.
that's crazy.
We
Oh,
have,
we got a
however,
Mutalia
found
Alliance
several
stream
evidence to
raid.
Ooh.
56 people.
Hi Raiders, we're here to raise money for STO Wiki. Open your wallets. So saith the devs.
Oh man. Also, if you want a coupon, you can press exclamation point raffle and enter the chat.
Welcome
for the
aboard.
Coupon. Oh, followers are coming in.
Even if it means
Charlotte.
you're not buying keys for a little while, please support STO Wiki.
You could win some keys. We have plenty of keys to give away. Trust me, you got like months worth.
Rina Kev hasn't shown up on any of our lists.
Okay, Rina Kev. Yes, okay. Let's
Subcommander
start. Let's speed it up a bit.
Welcome
know about
aboard.
the plan to attack a Tal Shiar convoy? Yes.
Did you say this is the last story
Yeah,
mission you're going to be doing today?
We can do
Yeah, I don't want to keep you all night. I'm sure you
Welcome
got things to
aboard.
do. So this is gonna
Actually,
be
it's
allies.
Sunday. I don't have anything to do.
We might do inside job, but that should be it. That's like the intro that gives me the Tal Shiar uniform, so we need to do that fashion. That's very important. But then that'll be probably won't be next week. I do have some commitments next week, but the week after we'll have Fundus and Maya on, so that's gonna be fun. I do want to reach out. Thanks for subbing, Wise Pete. Thanks for all the bits too. Jeez. Shout out to Wise Pete. You can make people VIPs, right? Let's do that. Knight him.
Welcome aboard.
Once I figure out how to do that.
Mr. Boulevard asks, how happy was I about the Seahawks winning? Because I'm a Washington native. I honestly didn't even know that they were playing until the Saturday before the Super Bowl. I'm a terrible sports ball. What does it do? I don't know. It's pretty cool, though. I'll say in retrospect, it was pretty cool to see a hometown team make it, but not on my radar. Sorry, too much of a nerd for that.
There was a
Through harmony,
bits.
we are secure.
Thon bits are
Through
basically
unity,
Zen.
we are strong.
But you shouldn't
Through
donate bits. You
fusion,
should donate
we are victorious.
the Ko-fi, because I think the Twitch stuff will be tied up for like months. And
well, and they also take a cut.
Yeah, they also take a cut. The Ko-fi, I think they take like processing fees for sales tax, but most of that.
But if you
goes straight
have,
to it.
some people just have bits because occasionally they'll do like ways that you can earn bits.
That's true.
So if you have that and want to give that instead of Ko-fi just because you have it, then it's better than nothing.
There are no innocents in war. And that includes the 10. That's a lot of banger lines in this arc.
Torture and kidnapping. And they call us the terrorists.
We talked at one point. This is in response to Pikamin in the chat about having a baseball episode, but we couldn't figure out how to make it fun.
It's one of those things that will sound better in the lore than they are in practice, right? Like, you can't do like take me out to Hall Street every season and make it seem interesting.
I mean, the interesting part of Take Me Out of the Holosuite wasn't the game; it was all the drama that surrounded the game, and that would have just been like talking to people and character moments and
plus afterpay baseball.
Yeah.
How about simulated
If we
baseball with
contact
bridge
her and
officer
say we're ready
cards
to
that you
join the
put
Tall
in, and they're a
Shiar, but we
battler?
need to discuss these files first.
It sounds like a
Like
triple
Pokemon
triad or
battles.
something like
Somewhere
that.
where we
Like,
can prove to her that she's been lied to. There's a subspace communications
Well, you're
hub on
talking
the
about a whole
grounds
new
of
system.
Borticus
We're not going to be
Station.
looking
Yeah,
into that for
no,
some
no.
time because this
We
game
need
is,
to contact her.
as I've been fond
Yes.
of saying in the past, there's too much game in this game. So
contact
yeah, I
Shiva
wouldn't
from
look forward to
Sajana. She's right next to me. Why do I have to contact her?
That's not Charva.
Oh wait, no,
I
that's
wasn't
come out.
expecting
Wait,
to
wait,
hear
wait,
from
wait.
you so soon.
I'm losing the plot here.
To join the Tall Shiar?
Oh
Yes.
no!
I
All
take it that
intelligence,
everything I
Romulan
provided checked
intelligence
out to
agents are
your
clones.
satisfaction?
Wait, are they not the same, are they? Okay, alright.
That's a fair
You're confusing me.
The Tall Shiar maintains a clandestine network of
Oh,
satellites,
satellites.
throughout the quadrant. There's a listening post
Um,
that's part of this network in the
There
Aja
was,
system.
if you go back like 2 hours in the stream, there was a comment about,
So we should be able to
Infinity
talk
Box. So
privately.
I think the gist
also
is,
connected.
stay tuned probably. It's on the list. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have a timeline for exactly
No.
when that'll happen, just that we want to make it happen.
Okay.
And then the other half of the earlier question, just to reiterate, was that those items that get removed, we'll find some other place to put them.
Yeah.
We just don't know at this time when or where they'll appear.
Was there some? It's remote
Yeah.
and has little strategic value.
So they won't disappear
Yes,
forever.
surely after this is
Pokemon
over,
12.
it's
Look,
objective
just
to
have the
Horizon
Etherean
instead.
menace end in a baseball game.
Oh, this is
That would
she
be-
just mentioned Ryza. So Legacy almost bought the second seasonal event. How involved with you were? How involved with Ryza were you in the beginning days? Like, did you do floaters
Oh,
or anything?
very.
Or?
Yeah, floaters was all me.
Welcome aboard.
Nice.
Flying into a trap.
Most of the other activities were come up by Jesse.
To spin a web of lies.
I think it was all Jesse.
Welcome aboard.
But yeah, floater functionality was all me.
Thanks for the follows.
If you're going to
Sorry,
go,
they went by too fast.
at least take some backup.
The powerboard stuff came later, and that was not me. But it was it's really just a riff on floaters on really under the hood. It's just a different
This is not
effects
fly?
overlay with
Ah.
different movement
They'll be
stats.
waiting for your
Yeah.
signal.
What are you saying? What are you saying in chat? What are you talking? What are you talking about? Oh, he's talking about STO without Wiki, I think. Also, thanks Wise Pete for no donation. We're at 35%. That's like 15%. This stream pretty good.
Awesome.
So Bovo says Jesse's been doing Star Trek Adventure modules for the tabletop.
Yes, he has with Modifius, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, I think he's at Blizzard now. I think he's on WoW Classic. I think I saw so.
He's at Blizzard. I'm not sure which he's on one of the WoW projects. I'm not sure which. But I actually just talked to him not too long ago just to make sure he's doing fine. That Blizzard's doing well, and he's really happy there. So it's good to hear.
Yeah, be careful not to enter the ground arena and the other system. You gotta enter the mission instead.
Oh yeah, you see that button? That's a PvP zone.
Captain.
Hey, Trevor.
Detecting another ship in the system. It's Charva's ship, the IRW Aethra. They're signaling to us that Charva has already beamed over to the listening post, and that you and I should join
Hey,
her.
Trevor's ship. It's the
They say only
Valador. That's a
us.
Romulan Republic
Can't
ship.
take a full away team.
Someone note that down. That's a blunder. I think it was.
Halciar Valdor.
It's probably
The-
easy mistake to make because the Mo guy is the
Valdor
Valador.
originally. Oh, Mogai.
Yeah, the
I get those
Valador is
mixed
not.
up.
Yeah, it's. Well, the legendary Valador is also named the same way. It's an easy mistake to make.
It's not going to be easy to convince
The
her.
Mo guy is a term from the novels, I think, that was adopted. So, but you only
And
know
they
it as the Valador.
Appeared in Nemesis though.
Yeah.
hmm
Oh, I guess we haven't asked. There was a couple questions about favorite ships of yours. One of them at one point was, what do you know of the least favorable, least desired T6 ship in the game? Do you know that might be off the top of your head?
No.
Ah.
Not off the top of my head. I know some recent ones that have gotten some negative feedback, but I still see people flying them, so that I don't think that's.
Yeah.
Sometimes the feedback doesn't match the data. And that's probably an area
True.
where, to give you a real answer, we would have to look at the actual data.
Hmm.
Because, the types of players that communicate to us
Thanks for
are
coming,
a
Pete.
different brand of player than the average person. The average player doesn't bother telling us anything. They just play the game and do their thing.
I'm not trying to make VIPs, but I would make Pete a VIP if I could.
As far as my favorite ship, I think this goes back to the same answer that I gave, the kind of milquetoast answer about favorite episodes. There are important ships that stand out to me that either did something special or changed the way we think about ships, or were just very important for the game in one way or another. And those stand out to me. I don't really have favorites. I just have noteworthy pillars. And some old examples of this are like the Kobali Samsar, the Vodwar battleship, Astica, I think it was called.
Oh yes, the Supremacy classic.
And the first Alliance ship, the Kittimer. Those are some of my those did really important things for the game, and the jellyfish for completely different reasons. There's important ships, and I wouldn't say that they're my favorites. They're not the ones that I play. They're not the ones that I would prefer to play, but they are what I consider to be. If somebody asked me about what are some of the greatest ships in STO, not the best, but the greatest, those would be some of the ones that would be on my list. I've wanted to go back to the Samsar, by the way, just as a side project to see if it holds up to modern era and maybe tweak it or make a new variant or something. I don't know.
I think in the age of isomags, those cruisers that have a lot of engineering consoles fare very well these days. So
yeah, which was part of the purpose of the isomag.
Mm-hmm.
That was part of Jonathan Harlosh's design goals with those. So I'm glad to see it paid off.
It paid dividends. Yeah, I'm glad. One of the big controversies was giving the engineering slot the carrier one as well.
Yeah.
I think at one point they earmarked the science. He said that on the stream even. I think it made more sense to do the engineering side of things because honestly, a science console boosting carriers, which I don't know what the breakdown is. There are a lot of science carriers that have a lot of engineering consoles to begin with, so it kind of made sense in the end as well.
Mm-hmm.
It did give like a big buff to those engineering and flight deck carriers in general. That's more emblematic of the carrier.
Boy, those harvesting nodes really glow.
Oh, they still glow after you take them. There's just there.
I think it's baked in, part of a we call it probe building, so that while you're loading into a map, it kind of bakes in the lighting dynamically on load. And
the Jupiter is actually okay if you build around the whole intel part of it and the recent carrier stuff. It's not that bad, honestly.
That's something to keep in mind when you're asking about old ships that you don't feel hold up to modern standards. One thing to consider is it the ship itself or is it the seat? Because I think that captain spec BOF abilities are an area where there's some room to do some tweaking or improving over it to serve more modern gaming purposes for some of those abilities. And that has a big echoing effect on the entire ship catalog if we were to make any changes like that.
Which is the whole idea of not proliferating what the Wyo did, right? It's it'll have a huge ripple effect. Also, Trevor now realizes that we played her, so congratulations. Uh-oh.
How's it feel?
Oh no.
Do we have to kill her now?
No, we're being arrested.
We were sent here by Commander Morris to take you into custody. You are accused of undermining the Romulan.
Charva, not Chara.
The T6 coupon giveaway has ended, so it's actually, you know what, I can resume entry. So the T6 coupon is back open. If you want to enter it and you're a raider and gonna get a chance to enter it now. I'll end it when the episode's over. So I'm not going anywhere with you, Talshia. Let's get that straight. Uh-oh.
Oh, is she trying to arrest you? I thought we were arresting her.
I think someone brought friends. They double-crossed our double-crossing somehow.
And now we have to shoot and kill. Well, maybe we'll only stun her, but she's targetable now. Oh, well, no redemption for you.
This might be more of a marketing question. Do you think you might ever do one of those infographics with player stats and etc.?
Yeah. So a lot of the expertise for who was good at doing that kind of stuff is no longer at the company.
Yeah.
It came up in regards recently to our anniversary update, and we talked about trying to do it, but we just couldn't get it together. So we won't have one for this anniversary, but it was definitely discussed. Hopefully we'll have one next year. Probably just for major updates. Maybe for Star Trek Day, maybe later this year, because that'll be kind of important. It's the 60th anniversary, so we're going to try to do something special for that. I don't know exactly what yet, but something.
I might work with Thon. I was floating the idea of like a STO Wiki player census or something. Like, this is what I do.
That'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Do like a
Yeah.
poll and everything. So I do something. Because he posted a bit earlier about we did like a wiki, sort of like a rewind thing.
On that subject, for both you and anybody else out there that is a content creator, if you're doing major pushes for big releases or big marketing things or anything for your content or your channel or whatever the case might be, if you can stand to sit on those for a little while, I encourage you to get in touch with Suna about them so that we can find if there are opportunities for cross marketing or at least amplifying your signal through the use of our official channels.
So Atreus, we do have a statistics site that Thon set up to show all that data. For a while, I think it was the Lamar was the most popular Fed ship. Because people were trying to get the event campaign goodies bag open, and people were going for the Lamar, probably because it's a sovereign there. That's my guess.
For a long time, the Kelvin Vengeance was our most popular ship, or at least most purchased ship. That's one of the weird things about a lot of our data right now is that we can see what players obtain, but not necessarily what they're actively flying.
I forgot. I gotta spin the wheel for this final space battle.
Well, it's nice of them that they're waiting for you then.
Think of your crew as... Oh, no. Oh, no Captain Powers? I would take it. That's easy. I don't have
that
very
means
many
no shield redistribution, no...
Oh, that's actually true.
Brace for impact, no evasive maneuvers.
No sub-nuke? No.
Yeah, no sub-nuke.
Okay.
Oh. No sensor scan.
That's true. We still got cloaking. I'll take it. Yeah, we got our own fleet. We got, like... That's not as many ships as they have. Wait, that's not good.
Yeah, but you count for at least a dozen.
Oh, that's true. Oh, they're not even waiting. Uh-oh, they're not even waiting. Okay.
SFC, you're flying a tier 3 roulette wheel now?
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. I gotta take off 2 AF weapons that stream. Oh, man.
Well, the wheel is still on the screen, is what he's saying.
Oh, I see. No, I did not expect the fleet to start shooting at me. That's my bad.
Shoot those torpedoes, or outrun them. Run!
Oh, I face tanked those. It's over.
Do you have hazard emitters? Cleanse those plasma fires.
The Daewoo, yeah, the Daewoo is basically I think that's the ship the flotilla is based on. The first flagship before the was set.
Muwak, you're right. So the question is, before the Legendary Last Stand bundle, Bort, I think it was me, it might have been Thomas, but we've talked about this, he and I, said that they were sort of reaching the bottom of the barrel in terms of what ships could reasonably be turned into legendary ships. Yeah, off the top of my head, there's probably only two more candidates. With a little more research, I might find a third or fourth, but there's not many out there. So in the not too distant future, we're going to have to be doing some rethinking internally about what sort of ship design could we do to replace legendaries, or otherwise justify making more legendaries.
All right, the Dowdexes do have the spam now. It's all over for us.
Yeah, keep beyond 5K.
I will resist the temptation to say I would like this and that. I should not have any opinion. Well, that's
the thing about legendary ships is that they're supposed to be the pinnacle of a lineage, and a ship needs a lineage in order for there to be a pinnacle. If there's only one or maybe even only 2 existing variants of a ship, it's a stretch to make a legendary variant of them. We've done it a couple times. I don't like doing it. So ideally, the candidates for legendaries are one where there's at least 3 variants or so, with at least 2 different consoles, maybe 2 or 3 different traits that we can mix and match to include on those legendaries.
If you don't mind me asking, did the last stand bundle do very well? Question mark?
They did very well.
Oh, yeah. Good. That's awesome.
I think a good amount of that was on the design of the ships, but also we've been doing a much better job of marketing our ship bundles recently. And all credit goes to Thomas for spearheading that, but a lot of it also to Keen, who does a ton of work on the marketing videos that we do for those, the trailers and such. And I think that's had a really positive impact. I know it's had a positive impact. Like, people underestimate how much marketing can do for a game.
Oh, cutscene time. Side Dread Galaxy class. Oh, that's an idea.
Yeah, interesting.
Welcome aboard. Is this the Tal Shar prisoner?
Man, what we got some mood lighting on the hotel right now. What the heck?
Way, please.
This is for the prisoner's sake? Like, oh, I can't see anything. This is an intimidation.
I'll leave you to it.
Tal Shiar is keeping you in the dark, purposefully. Literally.
I hope
Wait,
you're
no,
not
this
a
is the Republic.
person.
Yeah.
You're not watching.
Oh, the shader there is going crazy. What the
I
heck?
was the one who failed to live up to their expectations. And you were the one who steered me wrong.
Oh, she's
Thomas
totally
once said the
losing.
Heritage. Thomas once said the Heritage bundle almost immediately became top 5 of all time. That is true, at least for the week 1 performance.
Damn.
I think over time it's held onto that crown.
Captain.
Not just because of hexes. It's that clue. It's the whole bundle itself.
The whole bundle's great, but also
Yeah.
again, like the marketing, the lead up, and the
Yeah.
hype.
You
was
got the
all-
actual like writer of the invasion, I think, to say, "Oh wow, my ship's back!" Yay.
Mhm.
So you need.
Charva's alive.
Right.
But I expect she's gonna
We
face
did
more
it
questions from
with like 4 or 5 deaths under my belt. So if this was a hardcore one, I'd be like 7,000 feet under right now. But...
proof we need.
I will say, I think that one of the things that stands out about that bundle, the Heritage bundle, was, you know, all those ships come from other IP properties that through our licensing contracts we had freedom to use, but I think we sometimes underestimate the nostalgia play. I don't think we're going to do that as much. The Heritage bundle has actually taught us a lesson in that regard, insofar as like people that played those old games, they remember what those old ships did in those games, and we made a concerted effort to make sure that the consoles and the traits were inspired by those old games as much as possible. So things like the dorsal torpedo launcher and the I forgot what it's called, the expanding sphere generator. Those are taken directly from those other video games, or at least inspired extremely heavily by them. Even their visuals were inspired by them. And I think that carried a lot of weight. Players that are interested in Star Trek as an IP, in Star Trek video games as a pastime, they remember that stuff generally, and they can feel the love for the game, and that carries a lot of weight in terms of like helping you. If you're on the fence about whether or not to buy something, those sorts of inspirational IP references can really push you to the other side.
Yeah. Disco Dragon wants to know what bundle is #1. It's probably Heritage. That's what we've infoed here, but would you happen to know
No, it's
what
our
the best
10th
bundle?
anniversary.
Oh, interesting. All right. So would like Heritage be
Yeah.
like #2 or something like that?
I don't know. It's definitely top 5.
Yeah,
I don't know
gotcha.
if it's #1, but
Thank
just
you, Thon.
I
I'll
know
drink
that the
water.
10th anniversary bundle is definitely #1.
Alright, let's get a Tal Shiar outfit, and we can start wrapping up the stream here. So this is your point to ask any questions you want. This is the lightning round, I guess.
Keep
The
them
lightning
relatively
round.
simple. Yeah, lightning round. Yeah.
The lightning round begins now. Good old Tony Todd.
While we wait for a lightning round question, let me jump on a soapbox real quick.
Please.
I want to talk about hangar bays real quick.
Sure.
Because I see feedback from our player base very frequently jumps into the realm of like, oh, they've announced a new ship, but it doesn't have a hangar bay. Yawn. The fact that ships without hangar bays are
I've been reviewing your personnel files.
are undesirable, generally speaking, is a problem that as a systems designer and as a lead designer, I'm paying close attention to. There is something to that needs to change. There's something that we need to do for non-ship or ships that don't have a hangar bay, or something that we need to do that ships that do have a hangar bay, so that we can bridge that disparity, so that a ship like the Juggernaut that was just announced, Juggernauts don't have a hangar bay. So I saw a lot of the feedback about it was like, well, it doesn't have a hangar bay, so I'm not going to bother. Why not? Does a hangar bay really mean that much to your actual play experience? I'd argue that it doesn't, also because STO is not that difficult of a game. You don't need to be bleeding edge with your performance to have a good time. But if that's what you're chasing, then I need to find a way for my team to be able to bridge that disparity. I don't have an answer for it right now, but I just wanted to bring it up real quick while I had a moment to soapbox a little.
there's a lot of discussion about it. It's mostly because of those Type 7 shuttles. So,
It might be the Type 7 shuttles. Yeah,
yeah.
it's definitely on my watch list.
Can't you see I'm busy losing all my latinum?
If it's causing such a disparity that non-hangar based ships are
Only if it still
just being dismissed,
settings.
then that
There is a
we have to make ships that are desirable. We need you to buy ships so that we can keep paying the bills and keep the servers running, right? So if we
Yeah.
can't make ships that you don't want to buy, then it paints us into a corner that we don't want to be in. Plus, I mean, just as a personal aside, I've never really liked hangar bays because they're our AI in our engine is not the best. Let's
I was
be
gonna say, it's
honest.
because
It's
of the
an
baggage
aging
of making
engine.
them, right? It's like you see the how to put in
It's
names.
difficult to make them. It's difficult to balance them, and it's difficult to depend on them because a lot of their performance is gated by AI performance and the choices that they can make as an AI. And I'm using the old term AI, not the modern AI term. And so I've never really been a big fan of hangars in general. So I think there's some bias to that anyway. But anyway, that's we can answer some other
Do
questions.
you think
I just
hangar
wanted a
bays
chance to read
feel
some of them.
untrack? I don't know about that. I mean, there's that DS9 made a lot of things untrack, very track, so it's kind of hard to say.
Yes,
Yeah.
I actually, my personal flavor is that hangar bays are not track. Now we've
That's
seen
true.
it used in a lot of other games. There's even there's games that focus on you being a fighter pilot, right? That's where like the Typhon is from. I forget the name of the game.
Invasion. Yep.
So it's not completely outside of the IP, but if you're just going by the screen reference, then why would you have these tiny little fragile single person fighters in ship to ship, capital ship, tall ship combat? That doesn't make any dang sense to me. So
the upcoming content question. Upcoming content question. Path Diego win. I was just asked that because the pundit is coming on the stream soon. You can ask him that in a couple of weeks, and he'll probably stop like I am reading a question. I want to ask.
Welcome aboard.
Are you considering any promos with the new Voyager game coming out on Wednesday? I think. I'm sure you've crossed the unknown. It's like
I
kinda
don't know.
local.
I think we reached out to them, but I don't think we got any positive response in that
man.
regard.
Well, I might stream that. Those were quite good. So best of luck to him. Always good.
It's weird, right? I don't know how ingrained that game's dev team was with Paramount because like they don't use likenesses or VOs in that game. At least when I played the demo, none of that was present.
Yeah, I
so I
think
don't know.
They only just got the right to use the rendition of the theme, and I think every sector you play in the game is voiced by Tim Russ and Robert Duncan McNeil. As a recap of what he did in the last sector, so like,
Oh, that's good.
There's like Pharaoh saying, "Oh, hello, you killed Seska, but Seska was the best part of the crew now," and such. Yeah.
I played the demo. The lack of VO and lack of music was something that I found concerning. So I'm glad to hear they might have gotten some of that straightened out. It was interesting. I always like to see more Star Trek games. Just keeping the
many
IP
platforms,
interesting.
like Switch even. So that's pretty neat.
Mm-hmm.
So Hangar Bays. Question about the license. I'm pretty sure he can't even answer that.
Probably not.
The Star Trek license is going strong, and still is too. I'd probably just answer that.
Yep.
We
had to renew our license with the whole Deca Fusion thing, so we're going fine. There's no concerns in that regard.
A question about UI lag. Is UI's elements being investigated for lag problems like Hangar UI, XP bar, kit modules, etc.
So at the moment, we don't have a lot of UI experience left on the team. So I think we're probably going to be focusing elsewhere, but optimization as a general subject is something that's being discussed as something that we want, especially Thomas and Jack want us to focus on improving in the coming year. So I'd hope that we can get some of that. I don't think it'll be UI based. I think we're going to primarily focus on server performance, like combat server performance. Yeah. Although the Taylor is an also targeted thing, so and that's mostly UI based. So
and console especially needs that, as mentioned earlier, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I'm not making any promises. We're just early in talks about these things that we would like to target and like to improve upon.
To help sell your story,
I'll narrow this one down. Animated Trek tie-ins. You mentioned Starbase 80, of course. Is this off limits because of the nature of Paramount being protective about more recent modern Trek? Like, if you wanted to get like Dahl or Gwen from Prodigy and as a captain or something, you'd be like, no, we want to use those characters again someday. I think it might be more than a nail of the question though.
It's very case by case,
Yeah.
but it does generally come down to the fact that if Paramount is shopping around ideas or they've been in talks with creatives about different ideas, if any of the characters that they have first dibs essentially. So if there's any character that they want to do a specific thing or to hold just in case these creative talks with XYZ work out, then they want to keep that to themselves. This is one of the reasons why we had some problems that we had to work out with bringing Jerry Ryan to the game, because there was at the end of Picard, she was the captain in Starfleet. But when we tried to, our original pitch for the story was that she would be in Starfleet, maybe not necessarily a captain. And they were like, well, we don't know if that's the actual area that we're going with her character, so can you make her civilian or just not address it? And so we did, and we were able to use her. But it's essentially Paramount has first dibs. And if they're doing any sort of creative, what's the word they use? Creative development sort of things, like talking to anybody about a new show or even a new comic book or a new video game, they just like to hold on to first dibs on those important characters.
Oh, sorry, go on.
I was going to say in regards to Lower Decks in particular, so far we've only asked about Starbase 80. We haven't really asked about other characters. So, and we did get pushback on Starbase 80, as I said earlier in the stream. But so we don't have a story reason to bring like Mariner or any of the core crew back into the STO timeline, because that was like 20 years ago, I think, if I remember.
2380.
Yeah. So slightly out of timeline, but I don't know. We haven't really had a story reason to bring them in, but it's not something that's off the table. And as far as we know, we haven't gotten a no that we can't use them yet. We just haven't asked.
So Darko
Same with Prodigy.
Asked about something we talked about at the start of the stream, about stuff that new players can't get anymore from old giveaways. If you want to talk about those or post about those in the STO official Discord, post about those, get some traction on those. That's the best way to get those pushed back to the forefront.
Just to reiterate, towards the beginning of the stream, I asked, like, during the 60th anniversary, we're looking to make sure that we can do like promotions or giveaways or whatever to bring back like the nostalgia for the last 60 years of Trek. And so if there's missing stuff, not ships, but other stuff like costumes or weapons and things like that you think is missing from STO, we'd like to hear about it. And the best way to get that information to us is on the STO official Discord in our feedback forum.
Pokemon 12 asks, is there anything you can say at the time you're excited for this coming year? I would say only in the most vaguest terms, as in like, oh, I saw something the other day and this might be cool. Or you can just say
it's going to be a new lockbox.
Ooh, new lockbox.
There's going to be a new lockbox coming out in 2 days, and I think some players are going to love it. I hope all players love it, but I know some are going to love it. So I'm looking forward to seeing how reception in general to that lockbox is. I think that hoard your keys. Wait a couple days.
I'm hoarding the free ones you've been giving out, so I'm gonna have a bunch of those. Muwak wants to know, is Deca not being a part of the game, would that necessitate another license renewal? I don't think so.
I don't think so, because I think it was still overseen by ARC as the actual signature.
Yeah, that's right.
Even though Deca was the operating dev, but and I don't think that it had to be renewed because Deca was involved. I think it was just up for renewal and happened to coincide with the new team. But just to clarify that.
No, Muwak, it's a full box. Just to clarify.
Yeah, full in separate, brand new themed lockbox.
A question about charity stuff. Is there any legal precedent that stops him from returning, or is it just like a case-by-case timing and method thing that is stopping you from just really running like the pink vanity shield thing, or etc.?
Basically, we want to make sure that we would be in concert with some charity or another, and they need to be involved and coordinated with, and we just haven't had the energy or time in the day to be able to reach out and make sure that could happen. That's for like charity tie-ins, like the pink and the medical. But then there's other like limited time promos, like the old platinum stuff, that we just need to find a good reason to get back in the game. I don't want anything to ever become inaccessible to players, although if you weren't around when it first was released, it might be difficult to obtain. but that's fine.
All right, let's a couple more questions coming up, and let's pick a coupon winner. We have Char. Whoa, hey Char won.
Hey!
Not Trevor. Trevor did not win anything but a jail cell, but Char has won a T-Sys coupon. Congratulations. Oh, let's get that uniform before you leave. There we go.
Congratulations,
Congratulations, Chara.
Yay!
And please accept this as an apology from all of us for believing you to be a Tal Shiar agent.
And that the Iconian Empire has done anything wrong to us in the last 3 or 4 years. They've not. Nothing but love and gateways. And maybe some death, but alright, so Bolava wants to know, would you want any is there any 2411 era concepts, aesthetics, etc. you would like to see added? I don't know what I would mean in context here. Like, I guess, what is something?
So like modern
yeah, what is
STO
like
era?
something modern STO you would want to do and it hasn't been done yet? I guess.
This
Doesn't
is
have to be
treading
ship.
into the territory of Thomas and ships
yeah.
and pundits and all that kind of stuff. But I would love to see more modern STO takes on canon ships from other eras. I just love the modern STO aesthetic, to be honest. So
the pin
anything that's missing a 2409/11 skin is something I'd like to see us look into. And I don't know how big that list is or anything, but that would be my pick.
All right, a couple more questions.
Honestly,
now?
Because it was one of like, I think a 2411 Dakir would go hard.
Ooh, okay, 2411 DQ.
Yeah, maybe with like
wait, do we share a love of wing ships too? I love wing ships. Anything with a wing, it's amazing. The Romulan like Vestas with the little singularity core in them, they have that wing coming out of them. It's peak.
Yeah,
I think
those are
it's
cool. Yeah.
I
don't know. Before I really got into Star Trek ships and what became something that I learned by joining this team. Like, I was never a ship guy before joining the team. I used to just love all the alien ships and all weird stuff. But the more I get ingrained in the IP and the love of it and everything, the more I'm like, Federation ships. That's Star Trek. That's what we need. That is the ship. That is the show. That is IP.
Yeah.
Why would you do anything other than saucer and tuna cells? So I don't know. It kind of goes back and forth. It used to be that alien ships were my absolute favorite, but not such a cut and dry case anymore.
There was so many Celestial variants, and that used to be like the default of any like Star Trek fan goes, "Oh, Enterprise Connie, that's great," but I don't know, something about the Celestial and that sort of like, it's like a souped up like hot rod kind of sense. The long sweeping nacelles, the big hull. That's a big ship, as
Thomas
Scotty
pointed
says.
out to me several years ago that it's there's a lot of Art Deco influence.
Yeah, I think that was the whole idea of
TMP
it.
era.
Yeah.
And I didn't really notice it before because I always think of Art Deco in an architectural sense. But I think that's the design language that really stands out from the TMP era. And I honestly think Thomas and the rest of the ship team has done such an incredible job of exploring TMP era visuals.
It's so definitive.
Maybe exhaustively. I think we can move on.
Yeah.
But it is beautiful. Those ships are all just really lovely.
It's just so definitive since those ships, the whole idea of the TMP era is like the first exploration of what starships are that weren't just the Enterprise, right? You got the Reliant first. I think it was like the second Federation ship. And you get the big starbase, the Mushroom, and everything going forward. Everything just bridges from that forward to TNG, and well, everyone knows Miranda's is ubiquitous with Star Trek at this point as a redshirt ship. Alright, let's do a couple more questions before we round out. That's a very specific one about like chai tea. I love chai tea. I think you might be better off posting as a feedback thing in the Still Official Discord about the Rikai set there.
Yeah, individual specific questions like that about a specific set not working right or anything honestly might be a bug. So it's better investigated through the Discord server.
This is like 16 years worth of items. To have something have an exception is not unheard of, I think. Let me go start scrolling for other questions about people. Well, I guess I should leave the Borticus. Is there anything that you thought would have been mentioned this stream that you want to bring up other than Hanger Base?
Oh no, that was my big soapbox. Honestly, I'm surprised that I didn't have to steer the conversation away from the upcoming update more.
I think that was probably me. I think just even free facing it with. I won't ask much about upcoming stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
That's good.
I mean, I guess I'll take a moment just to,
Sure.
remind everybody that we are super hyped internally about this big release. We are so excited to see how you guys react to the next big story update coming out in just 2 days. A lot of us are going to be trolling Twitch and Discord looking for other people playing it and everything like that.
Keep an eye on the wiki.
So
We're getting all that stuff on day one.
yeah.
It coincidentally it is the first day of Lunar New Year, which I took off anyway, and I didn't know it was going to be the STO update, and it goes hand in hand. So,
Yep.
official work holiday reason.
It's funny that it is Lunar New Year, which means we have one of our producers is actually in China, and so producers are very important to a rollout. It's unfortunate that she's got to be on call during Lunar New Year, but also like Monday is President's Day, so most of the U.S. employees have the day off. But do they really? Because we're releasing on Tuesday.
Oh no!
I have more like President's Day because it's an update. I don't
But
know
these
if
are also lessons learned. Like, we had to push out the release date this year because there were a few concerns over QA QA availability. So originally, we tried to release closer to the 2nd, which is our actual anniversary date. But we decided to push it out a couple weeks, and now we're running into other things like Lunar New Year and like President's Day. Maybe we'll rethink that in the future.
I guess I have a personal question about, so the last couple of years we've had like 2 seasons and you have like 2 halves. Necessity of the content situation. Do you foresee the next you being more stable, as in like 3 big seasons instead of the 2 and halves? Or
I think
is
it's
that
too early to comment on a lot of details, but I can just comment in a general sense in that we as a team, with the new formerly DECA employees, we always wanted to get to a point where we were maintaining the same release cadence that the old Cryptic team were maintaining, which is like 3 updates a year of a story episode and a TFO minimum, sometimes also patrols in those updates. It's still a goal of ours as a team to achieve that same level of content release and get back to a point where we're meeting that cadence. So I can't confirm as of today whether we're there yet or plan to be this year, but it is a goal
there
of
than
ours.
like last year. Like it's way better. It's
Right. Well, even like we said, like tomorrow, this week's update is going to have both an episode and a TFO. And last year's was just an episode. Yeah.
That's good to know. I guess I'll narrow this one down. How does it feel being part of like an international team and working around so many time zones? Do you have to wake up in the middle of the night and go, "Oh no, the German people at DECA, the servers are melting. I get up at 4 a.m. or something." Does that happen often?
So I'm usually in work by 6 a.m. my time every day. Sometimes as early as 5 a.m. depending on if I have meetings or whatnot. It can be a challenge. I usually only have around 2 to 4 hours overlap with the people on my team, so we have to cram a lot of like meetings and plannings and collaboration into that time slot, and then make sure that in the hours before I get here that they have things that they can do and don't need me, and then in the hours after they leave, I've got work to do that doesn't need them, and that is the same across the entire team. It's always been a challenge working remotely that the now international aspects of the team have just kind of amplified. And the real way that you counteract that is just with proper processes, documentation, good handoffs, and overabundance of communication and productivity efforts like scheduling and pipeline meetings and pipeline coordination, handoffs, and all that kind of stuff. So you just have to make those things much more important to your process, which, in the long run, it means if we're working for 8 hours a day, we're probably spending 1 hour to 2 hours of that just in meetings to make sure that we can work. But it's worth it in the long run because it's the only way to operate when you're spread out across the entire globe.
Well, Shoegaze, do you have any other questions? We're close to wrap up now, so this is your chance.
Well, I think I'll actually read off Irish Hawk's question from earlier that we didn't answer.
Sure.
Was Will Wheaton thrilled to be the Terran Emperor?
I think he was. I was actually off the project when we were making that arc, so I don't have a lot of firsthand knowledge. But as I understand it, like he was very willing to do extra marketing efforts and talk us up on Twitter and stuff like that. So that seems to indicate to me that he was really excited about what we did with his mirror counterpart character. I don't know for certain though. He might have just been a professional. I hope he enjoyed it though. I really do, because I think it might be fun to come back to that at some point in the future. Not anytime soon.
And that's one thing you can say to people who say, "Oh, why didn't you kill the Tyrant Emperor?" Well, he can come back now. Now he's alive.
Exactly.
Right.
Like, no need to
Well,
spoil that
I'm
bridge.
actually, there's a small part of me that hopes that he liked it enough that maybe we can even explore Prime Wesley as a traveler character, maybe in a future storyline or something. I think that's. I kind of expected, based on was it season 1 or 2? There was a finale where
Picard, I think.
he showed up.
Yeah, Picard in the finale.
Picard.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was hoping that they'd do a spin-off with him as kind of like Time Cops or something, but that seems to have fallen apart.
I think, unfortunately, I think I was mostly. I think that someone was like, "Oh no, wait, there's a loose end for one of our characters we can't bring back for the big TNG reunion next season. We gotta figure out a way to get them out of here." And someone must have known Will Wheaton and said, "Hey, come in, please."
Yeah, I'd heard he's in Prodigy. Prodigy,
Yeah.
unfortunately, is kind of a blind spot for me. I didn't enjoy first season as much as I wanted to, so I haven't gone back to it.
I thought season 1 was pretty fine in numbers. Season 2, it was such a mistake to not put that on like Nickelodeon or Paramount. It was much more a Voyager, like, I wouldn't say reunion, even more of a homage than season 1 was.
Yeah.
And they make I mean, it's not much of a spoiler to say Chakotay's in it. They make him a lot more likable than just Prodigy and the entirety of Voyager. So
well, let's be honest, the bar was low.
It's so low. It's so low. I'm not saying I'm fine. Good work. Good try though.
There is a big dangling plot thread at the end of Prodigy that is a big. We could pick this up, and
it was It was well done.
The Paramount will let STO that up.
We know that. We already know that trying to do assets from Prodigy is going to be a conversation that's a little sticky, because of the same art style conversation. So that doesn't take it off the table, but it's just something we have to enter into those ideas with that knowledge, with that forethought, and give ourselves extra time to talk through it with Paramount. Maybe even have time to do like prototypes or concepts to see where that conversation needs to go.
Okay, I think we're running out of questions, so I want to say thank you again for coming on to the stream. I definitely going to reach out in a couple of weeks once the season's been digested a bit more and the anniversary ships out and do some streams with that and stuff. Thanks again. Thanks for all the support from Cryptic on your side for the wiki, from Sana and you and other devs that have agreed to a little slice of our pie, as it were. It's been a blast. I'm gonna get the word sent out after the stream. That should be it. As if I have anything else you want to remark about Corruption before it comes out, like tease or anything, I guess.
Welcome aboard.
No, I think we've done a good job of already teasing everything at this point. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Good luck to you all.
Thank you again. We raised like 15% this stream. I'm pretty pleased about that. We're gonna get spooked so hard. Is it? I guess I should ask. Is it very scary for someone that is like squeamish about horror? Should you be prepared?
Let me ask a question that I don't intend to get an answer to. How scary can STO be? So.
I like that. I like that.
Just think about it.
Let's leave it at that. All right, let's go to a wrap up. Thanks for coming. So there won't be a stream next week. I'm celebrating some stuff. But on March 1st, we'll have the postponed STO Wiki Silver event, which is us doing Fakiri stuff and Fakiri ships. And we'd like to do 1 or 2 episodes with Pundus and Mayo as current the current lineup for that.
You know what? I think that not to tell you how to do your job or anything, but I think your audience would probably love an interview with Flo after we have time and can talk about spoilers.
Actually, that's a good segue. I have we're gonna do a text interview about her and Arena, the other content designer.
Yeah.
So we basically I did a bug report for one of the old New Romulus data chips, missing a whole big lore piece, and they said, we'll work on it. Basically, etc. Like 6 months go by. Unleashed came out, and basically they filled that all in. It was a big piece of lore missing, and it gave me the opportunity to tease it out and say, hey, this got fixed. This accolade has been fixed, and I made a little game out of it. I seem to make a game out of everything these days, but I gave out a ship and a title with a couple people that found it, so it's like one of the lore pieces on New Mama. So I was gonna throw it out that way, talk about the process of doing it, and now that the season's coming out, I'll give them a couple questions about the content. Not to step on as soon as shows or anything, but
Well, we're not going to be talking about the episode in our live streams for a few weeks because we want to give
Okay.
players a chance to experience it
Cool.
themselves before we get into spoiler territory. So at least a couple weeks after release.
Sounds
I
good.
encourage you guys in the community to do the same. Be mindful that not everybody can play day one.
Yeah, Checkfoot said
so if
6 weeks for console, so yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, just be mindful of how much spoilers you're talking about, or at least keep it in the right channels where everybody involved knows that there will be spoilers, that sort of stuff.
That's a good time as any to start wrapping up. I'm going to switch to the end screen. So 2 weeks, we start the In Shadows arc, which is about infiltrating the Talshia.
Cool.
Shriver's out of the picture. She's gone. Sorry. Maybe I should have made Shriver my player character. Anyway, maybe we can make it a buff. That's the idea. But then we have Maya and Pundus, hopefully.
They'll have a blast. Those guys love talking about ships.
Yeah. Pundus is great.
Cool.
But this is... Well,
thank you for having me, guys.
So Volva just
Bort.
posted something. I feel like Bort should read off to end us off. Someone's
Curland
spammed
out.
it. There we go. Hey, all right. Thanks for coming. All right.
All right. And chat, thanks for being awesome.
Yep.
Take care.
Prizes will go out within the hour once I get